A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Yes, it's the Goldbergs. And now up goes our curtain on a stirring wash day melodrama full of villains with dark, dirty looks. And a lovely lady in distress. The name of our play is The Wash Day Dilemma or The Curse of an Aching Back. Let's introduce the characters. First, Dirty Workshirt, a very tough customer.
Sure, I'm tough. Just try to make me come clean.
Second, Streaky Towel, the cause of lots of wash day trouble.
You bet. It's no sense to get me white.
And the third wash day problem, Miss Rayon Slip.
I'm warning you, handle me carefully.
And now the lovely lady who's faced with these three kinds of wash. She might be you.
Oh, dear, what'll I do? If I use that strong old soap for the work shirt, it's too hard on those nicer colored washables.
And right there in dashes our hero to the rescue. Yes, madam, here's new Duz, that new kind of granulated soap that does all three kinds of wash. Duz gets dirty work shirts clean, streaky towels white, and yet it's safe even for pretty rayon undies.
What? You mean the same Duz that does colored rayon really gets towels white, too?
You bet. Why, you've never seen whiter washes than new Duz gives you. Actually, Duz gets clothes whiter, far whiter than any number of other soaps.
But tell me, will it take lots of scrubbing?
Not on your life. Why, no soap made gets clothes white easier than new Duz. There's no hard scrubbing and no boiling.
Well, I never heard of any granulated soap doing so much.
Well, just you try new Duz. You'll see it's a new kind of granulated soap, not just a new improvement of an old soap. Ask for Duz today in that big red and white box. It does everything in your wash. And now, the Goldbergs. There's one thing that Molly can do through all the confusions of her local world and of the wide world as well. She can follow her nose. She can see her goal, what she thinks right, and no amount of missteps will ever prevent her from reaching the point she desires. From Jake's point of view, this is Molly's worst trait, and he doesn't mind telling her. And today the opportunity to tell comes with the double vigor. For while Molly has been making plans with the former Mrs. Way, Mr. Way has arrived back at the Goldberg house with something on his mind. Listen.
Who's calling? Who's calling? Oh, Mr. Way? Did you, see Mrs. Way and Mrs. Goldberg?
Yes.
I hope nothing that...
I appreciate everything you and your wife have done for me, Mr. Goldberg, and I always will. But Mrs. Goldberg's altruistic motives and Mrs. Way's selfish ones don't go well together. And when they agree, then I know that it's time for Mrs. Goldberg to stop being my former wife. There's nothing that your wife can do for me that can make my life any easier. I know she's thinking of my happiness in Orleans, but we think we ought to marry, and your wife thinks we shouldn't. Don't you think that at that point I should be able to decide for myself?
Of course, only I...
Then would you please, as gently as possible, as delicately as possible, because I wouldn't hurt Mrs. Goldberg's feelings for anything, would you please tell her that I'd appreciate it tremendously if she'd let things go as they are now, and stop seeing Mrs. Way. I dislike saying this to you, and yet I know what I want. I know what I want to do, and I'm going to do it. Excuse me.
No? How long can a man stand this? How long? Tommy! Rosie!
Yes, Pa.
Don't ask me, but come here.
What's the matter?
Pa, what is it?
Sit down.
I'll see, Pa, David. It's just a bad thing. 1 minute, David.
Tommy, Something has to be done.
About what, Pa?
About your mother.
Papa, darling.
And you, too. I want to talk to you, too.
What did I do?
Nothing.
Well, then
Will you let Papa talk,
I'm
please?
trying to find out what I did.
This is what you did, and this is what you're doing, and this is what I don't want, and this is what I won't stand, and this is what I will not tolerate. Do you understand?
No, I don't.
Then let me tell you plainly. Stop encouraging your mother.
Well, how do I encourage Mama?
Stop telling her she's always right.
Well, she is right.
You can be wrong even if you're right.
I don't think so.
Huh?
You can't be wrong when you're right, and when you're wrong, you're not right. A person has a right to do what's right, and nothing anybody says should stop them. And that's what Mommy's doing. She's trying to do the right thing. It's wrong for Orion to marry Mr. Wade. You know it as well as Mama does. But you're afraid of the trouble it's making. You're just thinking of the trouble, that's all.
Did you hold Mr. Wade?
What's the difference, Pa?
What do you mean, what's the difference? Do you realize what your mother is maneuvering? Have I had one meal this week without taking my carbonate to my dessert? What am I made of? What? See who's coming. Is it Mama? I want to be alone.
Oh, Pa.
Is it Ma?
Pa.
Is it? Then go up.
Pa, please, it's late. You're on nerves, Pa. Please.
Leave me with my wife, please. Go up, Sammy.
Papa wants to talk to you.
You want to talk to me, dear?
Molly, you and I, if this continues, will reach the precipice. I'm talking quietly. I'm talking gently. I'm talking calmly. But I want you to know my intentions. This must stop. I want a woman, a wife, a mother. I didn't marry an angel. Don't tell me.
Mom. Ma, why don't you stop? Why don't you? Nobody wants your help, and no one needs it. Orion and Mr. Way want to marry. They know their own minds. Mrs. Way, she's just a mean, selfish woman. The only reason she'd help you do anything would be to hurt Mr. Way. But even all that's unimportant. After all, Papa counts, too. And what you're doing, all the talk and quarreling, all the discussions and running back and forth, they're not doing Papa any good. You owe him a duty, too. A bigger duty than your Way and Orion. It's not fair to him. If you stop to think for a minute to see how true it is. There's such a thing as being too good to the world and not being good enough to your own family.
Mama, darling, please.
Oh, what are you crying
I
about?
can cry if I want to. When do I have to ask your permission?
Cry, then. Cry if you want to.
Mama, darling, do I encourage you? I get my coat, please. No, please. I just blame you.
Sorry.
I just think that you should have gone over to the place, and I told you so. You don't think that Orion could marry a man that he doesn't love. Hello?
Stop, baby. Stop. Stop. Stop all the crying. Mr. Way?
Yes. I've just spoken to Mr. Goldberg, and I want to speak to you.
Oh. Stop, baby. Stop. Be quiet. Be silent. And go upstairs.
Come, David. You never said it. My son's learning.
What?
He wants to stay here with you, Ma.
Then let the child stay.
All right.
Go up. And come by and smile. And talk. And no cry. And so, Mama. What is it, Mr. Way?
I'm sorry to have to say this to you, Mrs. Goldberg. I'd rather not. But things have gotten to the point where I have no choice. You know as well as I do how important it is for me to marry Orion. There's no secret of the way I feel. And there should be none. But now, because of your interest in an incident in my life which I consider closed...
Mr. Way, just 1 minute. Excuse me. There we go. Blow your nose. Blow. Blow down. Blow. Okay. Excuse me, Mr. Way. Yes?
Well, because of your interest in an incident in my life which I had considered closed, They're seriously trying to prevent my marriage to Oriana. They've even gone so far as to make plans with my former wife to buy me out. So that's what it amounts to. She may be willing to pay off my old debts if I don't marry Oriana. I consider those debts paid. I went to prison for them. I served my time for them. I suffered for them. And now I'm free of them. If Mrs. Way had cared at all for those people, or for me, she would have helped pay them back before I went to prison. But she didn't. She divorced me instead. Well, that's finished. And I don't want anybody, not even you, to bring it up. I will not stand for the slightest interference with my plans from anybody.
Nothing, sister, darling. Nothing, Martha. Nothing.
But Molly's firm conviction of how right she is far removed from the possibility of carrying it out. Everyone is dead set against her trying to prevent the marriage, except Mrs. Way, who out of jealousy is willing to pay any price to prevent it. And Molly and Mrs. Way make strange allies on the side of right against wrong. Well, you know, I got a Christmas card from a radio listener, and on it she said, "Thanks for telling me about Durs for dishes." She said she was getting mighty disgusted with those old-fashioned halfway soaps. Yet, she wrote she didn't like using mild bar soaps that don't have any real speed, or those tough granulated soaps that keep you on safety for your hands. Well, those halfway soaps are out now that new Durs is here. Yes, this new kind of granulated soap that does everything in your wash really has everything you want for dishes, too. From whirlwind speed to greater kindness to your hands. Just notice how wonderfully soft and smooth your hands feel after doing dishes with Durs. It's the only leading granulated laundry soap that treats your hands with such extra gentleness. Yes, Durs can't be beat for speedy dishwashing. It cuts even tough grease without any hard scouring. Why, you can tell by the suds how different Durs is. So try it today. Durs has everything for dishes. And be sure to listen to the next episode of the Goldbergs. Just how Molly will be able to go ahead with her plans, we don't know. And perhaps she doesn't herself. But tomorrow, Molly goes ahead, even when she takes one step back. This is Bill Rogers wishing you good day for Procter & Gamble, makers of Durs, the new kind of granulated soap for all three kinds of wash.
Countdown for blast off. X minus 5, 4, 3, 2, X minus 1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight, Student Body by F.L. Wallace. Our story in 1 minute.
Girl.
Boy.
Moon.
June.
Ring.
Wedding.
Home.
Money.
Baby.
Money.
Education.
Money.
Retirement.
Money.
Solution?
United States savings bonds. There's a smart couple. They're looking to the future. They know how important it is to plan for the future now with savings bonds.
Yes, the plans you make today will determine what kind of tomorrow you have. Are you a student? Are you a young married couple? Are you approaching the golden years? Whatever your age, whatever your situation, savings bonds can be a big help in making your tomorrow secure and happy.
Plan wisely. Buy savings bonds regularly where you work or where you bank. They're a good investment. You're saving your money and you're earning more. Series E bonds pay 3% interest compounded twice a year when the bonds are held to maturity.
And savings bonds are as safe and sound as America itself. What's more, they're protected against loss or theft.
For the big things in your life, be ready with United States savings bonds.
And now, Student Body by F.L. Wallace.
Emergency report to Central Colonial Service. Subject Planet 7G63, Glade. Reporting Dano Marin. Special assignment from Biological Control. Report consisting of standard universal tapes and special recorded comment. First segment, landing day +1. 6 a.m. sidereal mean time. Voices on tape, myself, Colonial Executive Shep Hafner, and Athel, a female member of our crew. Tape commencing.
Watch your step on the ramp, Marin. It's tilted.
Oh, yes, I will. All right, where are these people?
Over there, a few hundred feet. Beneath that tree.
Well, come on, then.
You know, I'm going to have to note in the log that you cleared the planet for colonization as of last night.
I understand. I'm taping this now for my records. I take full responsibility for the safety of this planet.
All right. But wait until you see this. Here we are. Now, do you see there? In the clearing beneath that tree?
What? Good Lord, they haven't a stitch of clothes on. None of them.
That's just what I told you.
Are they all right? They're not...
No, they're just asleep. You can see them breathing.
Look here, Hafner. Who gave them permission to sleep out here in the open?
Shh, don't wake them yet. I gave them permission, Marin. They've been cooped up in that ship for over 6 months. They wanted to sleep outside. And in view of your clearance, I couldn't see any reason to refuse permission.
I know. You were within your rights. But the clothing, why, they don't even have blankets.
They did have, when they bedded down last night. Some of them even used the standard issue sleeping bag.
Well, then what happened to them? There are 13 people sleeping around that tree, and they're stark naked, all of them.
Last night you told me there was nothing dangerous on Glade. Do you still think so?
I know so. I have the complete biological survey.
Does your survey account for anything like this?
You know it doesn't.
That's what I thought. Okay. Now you've seen it for yourself. Let's wake them up and get them back to the ship.
No, wait. You better wake them one at a time. This will be embarrassing enough for them as it is.
Yes, I suppose you're right. I will wake the nearest one first. That's Athel, our lab technician.
Yes, well, here, take my jacket. Cover her with it before you wake her.
All right. Wake up, Athel. All right, Athel, wake up. It's Executive Hafner.
What? Oh, what is it?
I'm sorry, Athel. Something has happened.
Oh, my clothes. My blanket, everything's gone.
Now, be careful. Don't wake the others.
Yes, the others. Why, good heavens, they're all that way.
Athel, just go back to your cabin on the ship. Everything is all right. We'll explain it to you when we have the others safely back.
But I feel so foolish. How could this happen? What's the meaning of it?
Now, just get back to the ship. Your clothes back there are perfectly safe.
Yes, all right. Well, thank you.
You told her we'd explain it later, Hafner. Do you think we can?
That's your job, isn't it?
This planet is as new to me as it is to you.
You're the biologist. What destroyed their clothing?
It would have to be something that could destroy both blankets and clothing without waking the people.
Nocturnal insects?
Ordinarily, I'd say that was a distinct possibility if it weren't for the fact that our surveys show no evidence whatsoever of any such insects on Glade.
Your survey could have missed them, couldn't it?
Not if they existed in any great quantity. Besides, if insects were the answer, there should be some kind of evidence of them right here in the area where Athel was lying. Certainly one or two of them would be crushed when she rolled over in her sleep.
Well, that sounds reasonable.
Now, look for yourself. There's absolutely no sign of anything at all here.
Well, what about some chemical, some vapor oozing from the ground?
No chance at all. I'd rule that out completely.
Then what?
Well, there's the tree itself. I suppose it could exude some sort of a chemical that might dissolve cloth, but I can check that in the lab.
Well, we'd better arouse the rest of these people and get them back to the ship.
Hey, wait.
What? What is it?
Why, Some kind of an animal. Just caught a glimpse through there. Ah, there he is. Yeah, you see behind that bush?
Yeah. Looks almost like a chipmunk.
Yes, and he's feeding on something. Why, it looks like a piece of cloth.
Marin, do you think that...
Shh, he doesn't hear us. I'll just ease up to him now. Closer. Now.
You got him.
Oh, well, heck, you little devil.
Watch out, Marin. He's got sharp teeth.
You're telling me. Yeah, easy there, boy. Easy. Like to have your head stroked? Sure you do. That's the boy.
He's calming down.
Yes, look at that. Well, he's nestling in the crook of my arm, almost like a kitten.
Almost. Marin, I hope you don't mind short sleeves.
Now, what do you mean?
He's already eaten half the sleeve off your shirt. I think we've found the answer to our problem.
The animal was a small furry mammal resembling an Earth-type rodent. Its overall length is 14 centimeters, weight 512 grams. Fur stringy and sparse, color a light beige, indicating no particular protective coloring. The animal was placed in a special cage in a biological laboratory aboard ship for further study. Next tape, landing date +2.
Can we exterminate it?
Ah, it's quite a job.
How about locally?
Hardly. It's ecologically basic.
Look, Marin, you're from biological control. I've just got an executive's rating.
Well, look, you know how control works. They send a survey ship over and record the neural currents of the animals. They get everything that has a brain, including insects, and they take a few specimens to check the patterns. Now, here's the report on Glade. The survey shows that this animal is one of only 4 species of mammals on the planet. It is also the most numerous.
So if we kill them off here, others will swarm in from other areas.
Yes, that's about it. There are probably millions of them around the planet. Of course, if you want to put a barrier across the connection to the mainland, you might be able to wipe them out locally.
Look, Marin, I've got a tight schedule. I can't spare dirt-moving equipment for that. By the way, what do they eat?
Well, as far as I can see, anything. Insects, fruit, berries. You could call it an omnivore. Now that our clothing is handy, it eats that, too.
I thought our clothing was supposed to be vermin-proof.
It is on 27 planets. On the 28th, we met up with a little fella that has better digestive fluids, that's all. Oh, he's eating a leather belt right now.
Yeah. Are they likely to bother the crops we plant?
They shouldn't, but then I would have said the same thing about our clothing.
All right, Marin, you worry about the crops. Find some way to keep them out of the field. Meanwhile, everyone sleeps inside the ship until we can build dormitories.
Biological examination of omnivore posed this question. Why only 4 species of mammals on Glade? No reptiles and only a few birds. On all comparable planets, a large variety of species. Nearest Earth parallel, fossil remains from the late Carboniferous show creatures like the omnivora, but on Glade there appears to be no further evolution. Next tape segment, L+22, place, temporary warehouse, Quartermaster Crone, and myself.
There you are, Mr. Marin. They got in every seed, sack, and barrel in this part of the warehouse.
Well, what makes you think it's mice?
Look, I've worked in grain elevators for 30 years in Kansas. Look the way that sack is gnawed. And look over there. Droppings.
Well, it's not exactly...
I know. So they're mice-like. I want to know how to get rid of them.
Have you tried poison?
You tell me what poison to use, and I'll use it. They got into a 100-pound sack of arsenic and went through it like it was whipped cream.
Well, how did they get in? It's a fused dirt floor, isn't it?
It should be pest-tight. But see, there are cracks along here. They must have burrowed through. They were loose in here, and we don't have time to build another warehouse. They've got to be controlled here.
Well, catch me a few of them alive, and I'll see what I can do. Next morning, a dozen live specimens of mice-like mammals were delivered to the lab. No 2 of them were affected by the same poison, and the poison developed to control the omnivora was completely ineffective. Alternate discussed with Executive Hafner and Machinist Tully of Computer Engineering. Next tape, L+24. Hafner, Tully, and myself.
I tried it out yesterday, Mr. Hafner. I think I've got all the bugs licked now.
Tully, I don't want any more metal used than is necessary. This isn't standard authorized equipment.
You're not dealing with a standard authorized problem.
Are you ready to activate the device?
Sure thing. Here, help me get it down from this assembly bench down on the floor.
All right.
There you go, kitty. Now, what do you think of her? A robot cat.
I still think we need at least 3 of them.
Mr. Marin, inventory on colonial expeditions is always short. One will have to do. All right, Tully. Show us how this mechanical mouse catcher operates.
You better get out of the way, Mr. Marin. If you've touched any of the mice in the lab, she'll go for you. She reacts to smell as well as sight and sound.
All right, Tully, start it up.
All right, Kitty, go ahead and have a good time.
Oh, she moves like a cat.
You know, I wouldn't bet a plug nickel on any mouse in the same warehouse with that baby.
Robot cat device proved relatively successful in Warehouse 1. Rodent damage held below danger margin. Next tape, L+37. Tully, Hafner, and myself.
I can't salvage it, Mr. Hafner. Just look at that. That skeleton was chrome steel, now it's bent. The skin was duroplastic, and now it's cut to ribbons. The computer parts are all smashed to bits.
How do you account for it, Tully?
Well, look around the poor thing. You had me build it for mice. These things weren't mice. They're a good foot long. They just outnumbered him, that's all.
You examined these dead animals, Marin?
Not closely.
Well, you'll find your mice have grown. They ganged up on that cat.
There aren't supposed to be any rats on Glade, are there?
Well, there weren't supposed to be any mice either. What are you going to do?
We'll have to build another warehouse. 2-foot-thick fused floors.
Wait a minute, Mr. Hafner. To do that, we'll have to stop all other construction. The atomic generator...
Why not build more robot cats?
You weren't here when we opened the doors, Marin. The warehouse was swarming with rats. Tully, how many robot cats would we need? 5? 15?
We don't have enough parts to build more than 3.
If we need more than that, we'll have to rob the computer in the spaceship. And that's one thing I refuse to do. The spaceship is our only link with Earth until the next wave in 2 years. All right, then I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll floodlight the supplies at night. We'll post a guard with half-charged rifles until we can move to the new warehouse. That'll take about 10 days. Meanwhile, our fast crops are ripening. It's my guess that the rats will turn to that for food. Now, in order to protect our future food supplies, you'll have to activate your cold storage animals, Marin.
Mr. Hafner, it's against regulations to release any cold storage animals on a planet until after a complete investigation.
That takes 10 to 20 years. This is an emergency.
I don't want to be responsible for another rabbit-infested Australia or that planet in the Centauri system that the snails took over.
Marin, I'll take the responsibility. You're recording now, aren't you?
Yes.
All right. If that isn't authorization enough, I'll put it in writing.
Well, the beast I've got for this job won't be any good against rats this size.
You've got hormones. Use them.
Dead rats were gathered and frozen for further study. Observed animals, a wide variation in size. Internally, a lack of uniformity in organs. Some specimens had huge fangs and delicate jaws. Others had tiny teeth and massive bone structure. Obviously the most scrambled species ever encountered by a biologist. Reproductive cells were especially battling, proceeding with hormone treatment on cold storage Earth animals. Next tape, L+39. Lab technician, Atheel, and myself.
First one is coming out of it, Mr. Marin.
Yes, that makes 85% viability. That's not bad. All right, fella, now take it easy,
Oh, he's a cute little fella.
But he's tough. That's a wire-haired terrier. They're small, but they've been used for ratters since the Middle Ages.
Do you think he's nearly ready for the hormone course?
I think so. All right, first pituitary injection.
Ready. All right, now, this is going to hurt just a little fella.
Oh. Yeah, it's a dirty trick, isn't it, jabbing you with a needle when you're fresh out of the deep freeze? But don't you worry, fella. You'll be glad you had it. You'll stand a better chance against those rats when we work you up to about a Great Dane size. L+50, artificially enlarged terriers loosed in the fields of the fast crops. Following tape, field observation of terriers. Executor Hafner and myself.
How long have they been at it, Marin?
Since daybreak. I have to bring the dogs in at night and shoot them full of antibiotics.
Will the dogs last?
Well, this crop will be harvested in about a week. We'll make that. And there'll be 2 weeks to rest up before the next fast crop shows above ground. I think we've got the rats licked for a while.
Well, when you get a chance, you might ask some of those PhDs in Central how they happened to hand us a survey and forgot to give us a few details like mice and rats.
I have been checking on that, Mr. Hafner. I don't think there's any doubt. When that survey was made before we landed, there weren't any mice and rats on Glade.
Then where did they come from? How did they get here?
I don't know. But we're going to have to find out. Research project on pseudo-mice and pseudo-rats interrupted by field trip with Biological Survey Officer Whitehead. Tape L plus 63 in field geological survey vehicle. Whitehead and myself.
You think you got troubles? Can you read a sonar map?
No.
Here, look. See this scope? It reads straight down about 10 miles. I'm supposed to be out looking for oil shale, but I got kind of interested in this. Look. First few feet down, you can find fossils. After the first few feet, that's about 20,000 years, there are no fossils until you get way down here. That's about the same as late Carboniferous on Earth. Then you get the fossils again. It doesn't figure.
What, isn't that usual? Changes in geological eras?
You don't get it, man. I'm not talking about eras, I'm talking about years. Straight down from here, 20,000 years ago, this was a desert. And then 3 years later, it was a jungle. 5 years after that, there was a glacier. Earth normal would be 50,000 years or more for a change like that.
What caused it?
Yeah, you've got me. Fluctuations in the sun, I don't know, but talk about changeable weather. This planet really has it.
Based on accumulated data, theory developed regarding mammalian life on planet Glade. Tape L plus 65. Place temporary headquarters of Executive Hafner.
Marin, I've got a lot of work to clear up this morning.
I thought you might like to know where the mice came from.
They don't bother us anymore.
I have also determined the origin of the rats.
They're under control.
I wonder if they are, Mr. Hafner.
What do you mean?
Mr. Hafner, I've checked this with Whitehead. Between 100 million years and 20,000 years ago, this planet was changing violently and quickly. The first change wiped out the dinosaur just the way it did on Earth. But it kept on changing. Desert, glacier, jungle, and all this within the lifespan of a single animal. For 1 million years, this was the norm of existence on Glade.
I've checked Geological Survey. The planet is stable now.
Well, that's not what I'm getting at. The point is, survival was difficult. Only one species of mammals managed to come through.
Now, wait a minute, Marin. There are 4 species, ranging in size from a squirrel to a water buffalo.
One species. They're the same. If the food supply for the largest animal increases, some of the smaller so-called species just grow up. Conversely, if the food becomes scarce in any category, the next generation, which apparently can be produced almost instantly, switches to a form which does have an adequate food supply.
The mice?
The mice weren't here when we got here. They were born of the squirrel-sized omnivora.
And the rats?
Born of the next larger size. After all, we are environment, too, and they adapt to environment.
Let me get this straight. The mutations...
On Earth, it would be mutation. Here, it's merely normal evolution. These animals have no genes or chromosomes. I don't know how they pass down heredity, but they react to external conditions far faster than anything we've ever encountered.
Then we'll never be free from pests unless, of course, we rid the planet of all animal life.
Yeah, you mean with radioactive dust? That won't work. They survived worse.
Oh, maybe we could leave the planet. Leave it to the animals. I could exercise authority under Clause 364.
It's too late for that.
What do you mean?
We sent back the specimen ship. The animals are on Earth, too.
But those specimens were in cages.
Yes, but the next generation would be small enough to get out through the bars. They'll be running free in the cargoes of the spaceships. They'll land on Earth, and the first thing you know, a new mutation of rats will appear. They won't have any reason to connect it with the specimens from Glade.
They won't be able to vermin-proof every building on Earth.
No, we've got to stay here. We've got to study the animals here and find out how to beat them. If we can. Next tape, L plus 83. Place, Field Outpost. Quartermaster Crone, Hafner, and myself.
I saw it, Mr. Hafner. I saw it.
Are you sure?
Yeah. You see that tree? No, the big one.
The white flowers?
That's the one. I saw it behind there.
Can you describe it?
Well, I didn't get a good... That's it. That's what I heard.
It sounds like a tiger. I've heard them like that in India.
You watch. Right by that tree.
Hey, look out, look out. It's heading this way.
Give me that rifle.
Hurry up, shoot! Shoot! Try again!
I got it. Come on. Come on, let's take a look.
Now look out. It might be still alive.
No, I hit it square with that second charge.
What in the devil is it?
It's a good 8 feet long. What do you make of it, Marin?
Well, except for the lack of markings, it closely resembles a tiger.
Look at those claws.
We chase the rats out of the warehouse, they go to the fields. We hunt them down in the fields with dogs, and they breed tigers.
Well, that's easier than rats. We can shoot tigers.
Wait a minute. We've been here less than 3 months, Marin. The dogs have been in the fields only 2. And that tiger's mature. How do you account for that?
I'm not sure, Mr. Hafner, but I imagine if the survival factor is high, the young don't ever have to be young.
What?
They can be born as fully functioning adults.
Development report. Mice under control. Field rats under control by terriers. Tiger-like animals under control with searchlight and rifle. Additional complication. The original animal developed an appetite for electrical insulation. There is no protection except to keep the power on at all times. The last tiger-like animal was seen at L plus 130. After that, the attack ceased. By L plus 2 years, the animal seemed to have been controlled in all its forms. However, 3 months before the next colonists were due, a new animal was detected. Food was missing from the fields. Dogs were useless. The animal seemed to roam the fields, and the dogs did not attack. Patrols were unable to find the animal. Tape L plus 2 years. Hafner, Engineer Tully, and myself.
Now, here's the way I'm rigging it up, Mr. Hafner. Whatever it is, it spotted the photoelectric cell rig. So I've worked up an alarm that reacts to body radiation.
You're sure the animal won't spot that?
Well, I'm burying it in the field. Then we'll move the visible alarms to another field.
All right, Tully. As soon as the alarm goes off, notify Mr. Marin and me. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. Just as soon as the alarm goes off.
L2 plus 15. Radiation alarm sounded. Place, field station, Hafner, and myself.
Look out where you're walking, Marin. We don't want to scare it away.
Well, there are dogs in that field, aren't there?
Well, they were supposed to be, but they didn't bark. Quiet.
There it is. See? Huh? It's in between the rows.
Look out. Look out. Give me a clear shot.
Now, wait a minute. Don't shoot.
Look, Marin, I'm the executive here. I say it's dangerous.
Dangerous? That's why you can't shoot. It's more dangerous than you know.
Quiet. It'll hear you.
We're downwind. Now, listen, Hafner. This is important.
I don't want any lecture now, Marin. I don't want to lose the shot.
You've got to listen. That animal could evolve mice. We stopped mice and it brought rats. We turned back the rat and provided the tiger.
All right, we stopped the tiger.
Not really. There was another animal being formed. The one that's in that field now. It took the animal 2 years to create it. How, I don't know. 1,000,000 years were required to evolve it on Earth.
He's moving away. Marin, I'm going to shoot.
Don't shoot. We can't destroy the animal. It's on the Earth now and on other planets. We've never even been able to get rid of our own rats. How can we exterminate this animal?
All the more reason to start now. Get down and give me a clear shot.
Listen. Are their rats better than ours? Will their beasts win or ours be stronger? Oh, the two make peace, unite, and interbreed. It's not impossible. This animal could do it if interbreeding had a high survival factor. Don't you see, after the tiger, they bred this thing. If we shoot it down, what'll come next? Look at it, standing erect. Opposable thumbs, binocular vision, a large brain capacity. This one I think we can compete with. It's the one after this that I don't want to face.
Marin, it must hear us. It's looking this way.
Look at it, Hafner. He's holding his hands up to show us he's got no weapon. Drop your rifle.
Are you sure?
Drop your rifle! He's coming this way.
He's got one of those white blossoms in his hand.
Yes. Must be a sign of peace.
Wait. It looks almost like a man. I wonder what's inside that body.
I wonder what's inside that head.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features Verbal Agreement by Arthur Sellings, the story of an unsuccessful poet who was forced to ask what it was the aliens could want that was half as precious as the skins they wouldn't sell. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you Student Body, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by F.L. Wallace and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in the cast were John Raby, Bob Hastings, Kate Wilkinson, James Stevens, Charles Carruth, and Merrill E. Joels. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Bob Maurer and is an NBC Radio Network production.
Suppose you met a man in a tavern and he told you quite seriously that he wasn't a man at all, that he was the last Martian left alive. Well, that's what happens to a newspaper reporter next week when he is sent out on what appears to be a routine crank story. What happens next, though, is very far from routine, as the interview leads to a whole succession of astonishing events. The story is The Last Martian by Frederick Brown, next week on X-1. The Fisher Body Awards to Teenagers will be made tonight on the NBC Radio Network.
You mind if I sit down?
Help yourself. It's a free country.
I brought you beer. Barney, the bartender, told me something about your problem.
Oh? Thanks for the beer.
Drink up.
Well, I suppose you think I'm out of my mind, but, well, maybe you'll be right. The bartender probably thinks I've flipped my lid. Listen, are you a doctor?
Nope.
Do you think I'm insane?
I'm not a doctor, and I haven't even heard your story yet. How can I tell?
Okay, I'll tell you. I'll tell you everything that happened. Then you tell me if you think I'm all right. 2 hours ago, I was on Mars.
2 hours? How did you get here?
I don't know. That's the horrible thing. All I know is that the others were dead.
All of them? How do you know?
I saw them. I saw their bodies in the street. It was awful.
Now, wait a minute. You mean you're the last one? The last Martian?
Yes.
Well, that's a little hard to believe.
Listen, I was there. I was in this room in the city of Scar. I don't know why I was there, but I was. I was locked in. Then I got hungry, and there was nobody to bring me food. So I worked a stone out of the floor and started digging. It took 3 days. When I got out and reached the street, everyone was dead, lying in the open.
What did you do?
I took a Targan, an energy plane, and flew it to Xandar. Xandar is the biggest city, the capital. Every place, it was the same. Hundreds of thousands of bodies, lying in the fields, the streets, as if everyone had died at the exact same instant. At Xandar, in the stadium.
I'm listening.
In the stadium, there were 100,000 of them. As if they'd come there specially to die together. I landed my ship there.
In the stadium?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I see.
Well, there, in the stadium, they had built some sort of platform. On it was a column made of copper. Copper is a rare metal on Mars. And there was a push button.
Where?
In the copper column.
Oh.
And there was a Martian in a blue robe, a priest, right under the button. It was as though he'd pushed the button and died. And everybody else had died with him.
Except you?
Yes. All except me.
And then?
And then I was on a Madison Avenue bus, riding to work, here in New York.
Oh, now wait a minute.
Listen, I know you don't believe me. I know it sounds as if I was stark raving mad, but
take it easy, huh? You know what I think?
What?
You've had some sort of terrible shock.
Well, of course I have. There were 3 million of us, all dead.
I don't mean that kind of shock.
Of course, it was a dying world anyway. We didn't have more than 2 generations left. It was the krill.
What was the krill?
The disease. It reduced us to 1/30th of our population in 2 centuries.
These 3 million, and they died of the krill?
No. The krill kills slowly. These people died like that, with a push of a button.
Well, why didn't they escape?
We tried to develop space travel, but we couldn't. We couldn't even reach Deimos or Phobos.
Where are they?
Our moons.
Oh, I don't know so much about this stuff.
It was horrible.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you a question, Mr. Down?
Anything you like.
Well, if the Martians didn't develop space travel, how do you think you got here in New York City?
I don't know. It's driving me wild. I'm Yangan Dal, a Martian. And I'm here, in the body of an Earthman.
The body of an Earthman?
Of course. You don't think Martians look exactly like humans, do you? I'm 3 feet tall. Weigh what would be 20 pounds here on Earth. I have 4 arms and 6 fingers on each hand.
Barney?
Yeah?
2 more beers, huh, with whiskey chasers?
Right.
Go on, Mr. Down. I don't mean to interrupt.
It frightens me.
Oh, I can understand that.
You drinks? You want some help?
Thanks, Barney. Drink up, Mr. Dow.
Thank you.
By the way, who is this Earthman whose body you've got?
Its name is Howard Wilcox.
Howard Wilcox, huh? I'll just write that down. Address?
It's in the wallet. 45 Amber Court.
Mm-hmm. This Howard Wilcox whose body you're in, does he have a family?
It is married to a female of this species, yes.
Well, have you been home?
No.
Then how do you know?
I have all of its memories. I can do everything it could do. I know everything it knows.
Oh, I see.
I even have its tastes.
Beer, for instance?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You have a job?
At the Humber Lamp Company, 34th Street.
Well, maybe you ought to call your wife.
No, It frightens me.
Why?
This body, it loves its wife. Let me buy us around. There's money in these pockets.
Okay.
It's very good of you to listen to my story. Barkeep, another round, please.
Tell me, Mr. Dow, did you ever suspect before that you were a Martian?
Suspect? I am a Martian. Don't you understand?
Well, how did you get in here?
I told you this body was on its way to work on a Madison Avenue bus, and then I was inside it. It was thirsty, so it stopped for a drink. And I thought maybe the bartender could give me some advice. So I started talking. Don't you believe me?
Listen, Howard, you should be due home for dinner by now. Now, you're making your wife worry. Why not phone her?
I'm afraid.
What's there to worry about? Whether you're Yangan Dahl or Howard Wilcox is a woman sitting home worrying.
I suppose you're right.
Of course I'm right.
You're very understanding.
Oh, not at all.
You wouldn't want to come with me, would you? I mean, I'm sort of afraid.
Well, it would look funny.
I could tell her you're an old school friend. We could have dinner. And then maybe I could get to know her.
You really want me to come?
Would you?
Let me make a phone call first, okay?
Fine.
I rang up the Tribune and got Cargan at the city desk.
City desk, Cargan.
Hi, Bill Everett.
Did you find him?
Uh-huh.
Well?
There's something strange about this guy.
You think he's insane?
I don't know.
What What do you mean you don't know? Is he or isn't he?
Well, he's got the whole story so perfectly organized, he might even convince somebody it's true. He remembers every detail.
What do you figure you're going to do?
Well, I'm going home with him. I'm going to meet his wife and observe them.
How many drinks have you had?
Oh, I'm sober. Don't worry.
Me worry? Look, maybe you better come back here and I'll let Vincent handle this story.
No, that isn't necessary. Just let me tag along a while.
Okay. But if you want help, yell and I'll send Vincent.
I will. Don't worry.
What's this guy's name?
Howard Wilcox.
Address?
45 Amber Court.
Okay. Oh, and Bill.
Yes?
Just remember one thing.
What's that?
You could be playing with dynamite. Watch your step.
Number 45 Amber Court was an apartment down in the village. We were met at the door by a pretty woman in dungarees with her black hair and a ponytail with a red ribbon. Let me handle it, okay?
I wish you would.
Howard, I was so worried.
This is Bill Everett.
I'm an old boyhood chum of your husband, Mrs. Wilcox. We met, and I asked Howard to have a few drinks, and I'm afraid it's all my fault.
Bill is having dinner with us.
If it isn't too much trouble.
Well, no, of course not.
Well, that's very generous of you.
Well, if you'll excuse me, I'd better start dinner. Howard,
Yes?
are you all right?
Why, yes. Fine.
You didn't kiss me.
Oh, well.
That's better. That's the first time in 11 years Howard hasn't kissed me when he came home.
Well, we stopped and had a few drinks. It was all my fault, really.
Look, just make yourself comfortable. I won't be long.
Do you think she suspects?
Of course not.
I'll have to tell her.
You want to wind up in an institution?
No, but I can't keep up this pretense.
Just set your mind to it. Now, after a while, it'll become natural. You'll forget that you ever were a Martian.
You do believe me, then, about being a Martian?
Of course.
Oh, that's good to know.
Now, look, whatever you do, don't tell your wife. It would ruin her life.
I'll try not to tell her.
Try very hard. Now, don't tell anybody.
You and the bartender know, of course.
Well, we'll keep it quiet. Don't worry.
Good.
Do you think you can carry it off?
I'll try.
Good boy. Now, tell you what. If you get into any kind of trouble, I mean, if you just have to talk to somebody about it, give me a call. Here, at this number. Now, if I'm not in, you leave a message with my boss. His name is Cargan.
Cargan.
You promise?
I promise.
Fine.
You're very kind. This body... I've never met anybody so kind here on Earth.
Forget it.
Well, what have you two been discussing so secretly?
Just business.
Oh, I'm sorry about being late, dear.
Well, you might have phoned. After all, you were only a few blocks from the house. It isn't as if you were on Mars or someplace.
Dinner went pretty well, and Elaine Wilcox turned out to be an expert at shish kebab, which is one of my favorites. After dinner, I still had a couple of hours to put in at the paper, so I went back. Cargan came over to me right away.
Well?
Well?
Is he or isn't he?
He's a Martian, all right. No question about that.
You're very funny.
I have my moments.
Would you mind telling me exactly where you've been for 3 hours? And what you've been doing?
I talked to Yangan Dao. That's his Martian name. Then we had dinner at his home. Very nice. Shish kebab.
What about the story?
Oh, yeah, the story. Well, it seems that he was locked in a room in the city of Scar. And he got out and saw all the dead bodies of the entire Martian population. Then he flew to the Capitol and saw a button that a priest had pressed, and the next thing he knew, he was inside an Earthman named Howard Wilcox riding a Madison Avenue bus. Want me to write it up?
Is that all you've got to tell me?
That's all. Listen, this guy's going to be perfectly all right as soon as he gets used to the idea that he's Howard Wilcox.
He is, I suppose you're a qualified psychiatrist?
Well, I'm qualified to judge this.
I'd better send Vincent over there.
There's no need for that.
I have a distinct feeling you've let your emotions get into the act.
Well, what's wrong with emotions?
They don't belong in this business.
Look, Cargan, this is a decent enough guy. He's a little bewildered, maybe. Now, why not let him live out his life in peace?
He may be dangerous.
Don't you trust my judgment?
We can't afford to pass up anything important.
Oh, you're exaggerating.
Maybe. Vincent.
Yes, Mr. Cargan.
I want you to do a follow-up on a story that Bill here started. A man named Howard Wilcox who thinks he's a Martian.
Oh?
Bill has the address.
Now, if anything happens to this guy, there are liable to be questions and accusations.
Vincent can handle that end of it.
You want the full treatment on this story, Mr. Cargan?
If you think the man is a menace, give him the
Full treatment. Okay, Mr. Cargan.
I gave Vincent the address, feeling like a murderer, and then I beat it to the nearest phone booth and called Howard Wilcox's home. His wife, Elaine, answered.
Yes?
Oh, Mrs. Wilcox, this is Bill Everett again.
Oh, did you forget something?
No, I have something to tell you, and it may sound a little weird, but bear with me.
Oh, what is it?
A man from my newspaper is coming over. His name is Vincent. Now, he's a big, ugly man with a scar on his lip.
He's coming over here?
He's on his way now.
Well, what for?
Well, that's the part you aren't going to believe, Mrs. Wilcox.
Well, try me and see.
He's going to murder your husband.
I'm afraid I didn't hear you.
I said he's coming over to murder your husband.
You and Howard did do quite a bit of drinking.
I'm trying to do you a favor. Now, listen to me.
I'm listening.
Send him away. Tell him Howard had to leave town. Do you hear me?
I hear you, but really...
Please, Mrs. Wilcox, if your husband means anything to you.
Well, of course he does, but why not call the police?
They'll laugh at you. I'm coming right over. I'll explain when I get there. And remember, your husband's life depends on this. I didn't know whether I'd convinced her or not. It all sounded so terribly melodramatic. Anyway, I hopped into a cab and told him to use a heavy foot on the gas pedal, and about 15 minutes later, I arrived at 45 Amber Court.
Oh, it's you.
Was Vincent here?
There was a man here from the Tribune, yes.
Did you do as I told you?
Well, I got Howard out of the house. I sent him out for some mozzarella cheese and gave him a couple of places that don't carry it.
What'd Vincent say?
I told him Howard wouldn't be back in town till tomorrow. He said he'd be back.
Did he say what he wanted?
Just that he had some good news for my husband.
Some good news. May I come in?
I wish you would. I want to know what this is all about. Sit down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, would you mind explaining?
You won't believe me.
You keep saying that.
Okay, Mrs. Wilcox. Your husband, Howard, is a Martian.
A Martian?
That's right.
I see. And when did you discover this about my husband?
This morning.
Would you mind telling me just when he arrived? From Mars, that is.
This morning.
You don't say.
Told you wouldn't believe me.
Oh, I haven't said that yet. You're sure Howard is a Martian?
Yep. He claims to be the last Martian. Look, see if I can make it clear. There was a plague sweeping Mars. Now, they devised a means of transporting their intellects through space to Earth. Their dead bodies remained behind. Now, Howard, your husband, was confined in an institution, so he didn't get to go with the other Martian souls. He dug his way out and went to the capital city where the energy machine was located.
Mm-hmm.
I guess there was enough left to send his intelligence down here, where it landed in the body of one Howard Wilcox.
How did you find this out?
He told me.
Mr. Everett, if you don't mind, I'm rather tired. First you tell me someone's going to murder Howard, then you tell me he's the man from Mars. I'd like to get some rest, if you don't mind.
I'm trying to convince you your husband is in danger.
If Howard is a Martian, just why did your Mr. Vincent want to kill him?
Because Mr. Vincent is a Martian, too.
Uh-huh. I suppose the editor of the Tribune is also a Martian?
No, not the editor, just the editor of the city desk.
And you, Mr. Everett, are you a Martian, too?
Matter of fact, yes.
Good night.
Just won't see it, will you?
Good night, Mr. Everett.
Okay, I tried my best.
Martians, indeed. Oh, Howard, thank heavens.
I couldn't get the mozzarella.
It doesn't matter. Tell me, Howard, are you a Martian?
What? Why, yes. How did you know?
Oh, woman's intuition. It's terribly late, dear. Let's turn in.
No, not yet. I want to know how you knew I was a Martian.
Howard, please, I've had just about enough of this nonsense today.
It isn't nonsense to me. Only this morning I was Yang Gandal, a Martian. Now I'm in the body of your husband.
Is this a joke you and your friend Mr. Everett invented to torture me? Because if it is...
It isn't a joke. It's the truth.
Howard, I just can't stand much more of this. I'm beginning to wonder if it's me. Who could that be at this hour?
I'll answer it. Yes?
You are Mr. Howard Wilcox?
Yes?
My name's Vincent. I'm a reporter from the Trib.
Yes?
May I come in?
Yes.
Oh, Mr. Vincent.
I see your husband has unexpectedly returned from out of town, Mrs. Wilcox.
Now, look here.
Would you mind telling me why you lied to me?
Yes, I would.
Does it have anything to do with the fact that you know your husband's secret?
What secret?
That he is young and dull. A Martian.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I think you do.
Why is there such concern? I am Yang and Dao. I am a Martian. The last Martian, as far as I know.
That is where you're wrong, Mr. Wilcox.
Wrong?
You see, there are many of us.
Many? Like me?
Hundreds of thousands. We were teleported to Earth during the Great Migration and found ourselves, like you, inside human beings.
But then I'm not alone. You do understand my position.
Perfectly.
I can establish contact. We can remember our old home.
Unfortunately, no.
I don't understand.
Sadly enough, young and dull, you were considered mentally ill on Mars. Ill enough so that you were institutionalized.
But
here on Earth, a person like you represents a distinct threat to us.
How do I threaten you?
You're unstable. You may give us away. That would spoil it.
Spoil what?
Our plan.
Plan?
You have not heard of the plan?
I heard of no plan. I was in an institution.
Yes. You are certain now?
Of course. What plan?
If you knew, I would have been forced to destroy you. You've just saved your own life, young and dull, and that of Howard Wilcox as well.
What are you going to do?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Aren't you afraid that I'll do something?
Such as?
Tell people my husband is a Martian.
Really, Mrs. Wilcox, you know better. You'd be laughed at or sent to the nearest psychiatric clinic. No, we aren't at all concerned with the fact that people will betray our presence here on Earth. I'm sure you can appreciate the reaction if you were to phone the police and tell them that the Trib reporters are all Martians.
Well, not all. Just the city editor and yourself and Mr. Everett.
How did you know that?
Perhaps I'm one myself, Mr. Vincent.
It isn't possible.
Why not?
Are you... Tell me where you were born. What city?
I was born in Undanel near the dead canal of Krilla.
Your name?
Zanat Kree.
You are party to the plan?
The plan to take over the Earth? Of course.
Your husband, young and dull. Why did you not inform him?
For the same reason you did not. He is unstable. But there is no need to worry. I will care for him.
Amazing.
Now, would you mind leaving us alone? We have many things to discuss.
Of course. Amazing. Positively amazing.
I was standing in Barney's bar having a double scotch on the rocks when Vincent came in looking like a man who spent the last 3 hours in a KitchenAid mixer with the dial on Fluffy. He came over and ordered without so much as look at me.
Here it is, Mr. Vincent.
Thanks.
You okay?
Sure.
By the way, did you fellas take care of that crackpot who was in here this afternoon, the one who thought he was a Martian?
Sure.
Just a drunk, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Wouldn't you say so, Bill?
Oh, definitely.
Well, here's to you, Barney. Sometimes you can't tell the Martians from the Earthmen.
you know.
It's getting to be that way, Mr. Vincent. Right, Bill?
That's right, Barney. Integration. That's what it is. I gave Barney a sly wink and lifted my glass along with Vincent. Of course, Barney understood. You see, he's one of us, too.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features Alan Cogan's story, Nothing But the Best, which tells about a strange mix-up in time and place. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you The Last Martian, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by Frederick Brown and adapted for radio by George Lefferts. Featured in the cast were Mandel Kramer, Elliot Reed, Santos Ortega, Ralph Bell, John McGovern, and Patricia Wheel. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
Go to the conventions with NBC Radio beginning Monday, August 13th.
Again, G47 has shown his power on Euclidia, the magic island of the South Seas. When Jerry Hall started off the homing pigeon to Johnson on the rescue boat, things looked very bright. The pigeon was released at midnight, and at 8 in the morning the Gregory party were sure that all was well, and that the pigeon had reached the other boat. As they were discussing their chances of escape in the soundproof cabin on the yacht, the mad scientist, G47, walked in with the pigeon in his hand. G47 has just left the cabin after telling them that the pigeon was stopped by gas in the ring of fog surrounding the island.
Well, I guess that's the end of it.
Oh, Mother, is there no hope at all?
Very little, my dear. You heard what G47 said. His assistants are working now on the formula they took from the leg of that pigeon. And when they've successfully compounded it, our lives will be worth nothing.
Golly whiskers, Tex. Tex? Hey, Tex, what are you thinking about?
How to get this pigeon or the other one through that ring of fog and gas that guards the island.
But can you do it in time to be of any help, Captain? G47 and his men will be working rapidly on that formula. And when they complete it, I think it will be too late to help us then.
Oh, Tex, isn't there something we can do?
I'm afraid not. There's no chance for these birds to fly through that gas ring. They'll never fail to use the gas ring as long as they have a chance of trying anything else.
Wait a minute, Tex. You act like you're not paying any attention to us at all. Quit worrying about getting the message through to Johnson. He can't get here in time to save us anyhow.
Jerry's right, Tex. What we've got to do is try some extreme measure. Something wild and foolish if there's nothing sensible and reasonable left to do. But we've got to do something about getting off this island before those Euclideans get that formula compounded.
No hurry about that, Pat. It will take them a long time to figure it out.
Do not be too sure, Captain Bradford. G47 and those other men can do as they wish with any formula that any living man could write for them.
Hurry up, Tex. Let's try to get off this crazy island.
Take a look outside the door, Jerry. I'm going to tell you something.
It's all right to talk in here now, Tex. No one can hear us with the cabin insulated with this opaque cloth.
Probably not, but take a look anyway, kid.
Okay, Tex. All clear out there. The skipper's at one end of the passage and the engineer at the other.
All right. I'll just let the pigeon rest here on the bunk.
That beautiful little bird is so frightened. If it's hurt, we should...
Not a bit. Just some harmless gas that caused him to flutter slowly to the floor of the island. He'll be all right after he gets over his fright.
I read in your pigeon book that it upsets them when something stops them from a flight they've started out on.
Sometimes it does, but this little fellow has had accidents before. He'll be all right soon. I'll hold him here, Tex. There now, Bosun. Feel better now? Now, Tex, the pigeon seems comfortable. Go ahead.
I suppose I should have told you before. But I thought I'd save you a lot of worry if I did the worrying for all of us. I didn't want you to realize just how much I feared old G47 and how little faith I had in that pigeon getting through the fog ring.
Well, we know the worst now, Tex.
I was afraid, Captain, that your plan was too simple to succeed against the protection on this island.
Oh, you did swell, Tex. Nobody's going to blame you when old G47 works out that formula and comes to do whatever he's going to do with us.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, kid. I've had my mind on the pigeon and can't seem to stay on the subject. But you can quit worrying about the formula. The old G47 may be mad enough to kill us anyway when he discovers that he hasn't got it.
What do you mean, Tex? Did you put the formula in code?
These Euclideans can decipher any code nearly as fast as it can be read by one who understands it. They have a conversion table of all the possible combinations of figures, letters, and characters known to man. And they work out a code as accurately as you would use a slide rule.
Then when they read the code, we're sunk for sure.
But it wasn't code. What I had on that message to Johnson simply was not my formula.
Then they haven't a formula at all?
They must have some formula, or they wouldn't be working on it all this time.
They have a formula, all right. And no matter how clever they are, they're going to have some fun with it before they give up trying to confound my secret with it.
You gave them a formula which will make nothing, then?
No, I gave them a formula which I worked on for years. And I've worked with some of the greatest chemists in the world on it. The formula for making synthetic diamonds.
Giggle and goldfish. Then if they work it out, they'll have a diamond.
Something like one, Jerry, though the formula was never quite perfect, was it, Tex?
No. It works up to a certain point where a hard mass is precipitated. But before you can rescue this solid from the solution, it is promptly dissolved again.
That's a honey, Tex. It may fool them, too. For when they get this hard substance and then it dissolves, they'll think they got the real thing, the universal solvent.
Hush, Jerry, not so loud.
So that is your secret, Captain Bradford. The universal solvent. I've often heard G47 say you had the greatest formula in the world, and one that chemists have tried to get since chemistry began. Now I can understand why they wanted to bring you to this island.
Yes, Joan, dear. I was allowed to come here and find you so those scientists could get Captain Bradford in their power. Now all our lives will pay for it.
Hey there, Mrs. Gregory. Cut it out. We're not done yet by a long ways. Don't forget what G47 said. As long as they're trying to get Tex's formula, we're safe.
Right, and before they get it, we may figure our way out.
Do you mind if I ask you a question about your formula, Captain Bradford?
Go right ahead, Joan, only don't talk too loud.
You have really found the formula for the universal solvent?
Yes.
You've actually used it to dissolve every element and combination of elements known to science?
Yes, Joan, I really have it.
What do you use as a container to keep it in?
I thought that was coming, Tex. Joan's got her head fastened on tight, all right.
Is your head loose, Jerry?
Now, don't you two start that again. Jerry is really paying you a very high compliment, Joan. He thinks it's clever of you to ask such a question.
To ask that is only natural, I think. For if you had something which will dissolve everything, how could you keep any of it? It would eat its way through any container.
You may think it's natural to ask that, Joan, with the training you've had here. But most people pass it up. Anyhow, I have the formula, and it will eat its way out of anything you put it in. And that very fact is a thing I think will save our lives and get us off this island.
But how?
No more now, Jerry. I hope we haven't talked too much about it as it is.
Here's where we get it for the trick we played on them.
G47 will be very angry.
Can't help it now. Come in.
Oh, Skipper. What is it?
Pigeon.
Something happened to the other pigeon?
What's up, Skipper? Someone at the pigeon cote?
Was.
Someone been there and done something to the pigeon?
Oh, Ted.
Steady, Pat. You three stay here. I'll take this other pigeon and go and see. Shove off, Skipper.
Now, what's up, I wonder?
Oh, I hope they haven't harmed the other one. I wouldn't mind their taking it away from us to keep us from using it, but I'd feel very badly if anything happened to them.
You are so sweet and kind, Mother. I think those are the words I want to use, but we know so little of those qualities on Euclidia that I do not even know how to speak of them.
You're doing all right, Joan. For a girl that didn't know anything when I landed here, you're getting so you talk pretty near as good as I do.
You mean I speak nearly as well as you, Jerry?
Oh, what's the use?
I'm afraid, Jerry, that Joan is rapidly learning our careless manner of address, and she's really right.
I want to speak as you do, Mother, and I want to go to your world and learn all about it.
Our chances of that aren't boiling over right now.
Oh, now, Jerry, you must not get in that frame of mind. You must keep happy and foolish to help the rest of us.
Yes, Jerry. Tex is inclined to look on the dark side of things, mostly to keep us from getting our hopes too high, I think. And we've learned to look to you for the bright side, so don't let us down.
Oh, I'm sorry. Only things happen too fast here for me sometimes. Now this pigeon thing. We had our hopes all worked up on getting a message to Johnson, and the pigeon comes back.
But they didn't get Captain Bradford's formula, Jerry, and that is something.
Yes, something. But what will G47 do because he was tricked?
He won't do anything till he gets Tex's real formula.
Jerry may be right, Mother. G47 and his assistants have a patience that is terrible. Their plans and formulas have been complete, their equipment ready for world conquest, and their supplies on hand for many months. Yet they have waited patiently for this chance to get Captain Bradford here with his formula.
But why did they have to make such an involved process of it? A simple message that you had been found living here would have brought us at any time.
I don't know about that, Mrs. Gregory. Remember how many times you have been fooled about Joan being found someplace, and how you even wondered about coming here.
I know the Euclideans wanted to be sure you left your home without any suspicion of what you would find, as they feared Captain Bradford might leave instructions behind him as to what to do if you did not return as you had planned. If these men fear anyone or anything in the world, it is Captain Bradford.
Gee, it's great to be that important.
But you, Jerry, you are also important.
Me? How come?
You have some very powerful radio apparatus in your home in Hollywood, you and your father. Is that not so?
Jerry, they must have heard you sending with your 1 1/2 meter set.
Oh, I don't think it would pick up here. It's just a homemade affair.
Oh, it was heard here. And it was heard to answer the call which brought you down here.
Jiminy Jimcracks. Do you mean that when I heard that report about the old sailor and tried to get more information about it, that they really heard my QRF here?
Yes, Jerry. They heard you very plainly when you repeated the message G47 sent. And you said you would try to locate Mrs. Gregory, Mother, and get the message to her.
Now, Jerry, how does that feel? See how important you are?
Well, it's no surprise to me. I always had an idea I'd turn out to be a pretty important guy.
And you take it all so modestly, Jerry.
Oh, gee.
And your face is so red, Jerry. You look so funny.
Joan, dear. Joan, you laughed. That's the first time I ever heard you laugh.
We do not laugh on Euclidia. I never felt like that before. It's a nice feeling to laugh. Jerry, you must make me laugh some more. Will you please look foolish again so that I may laugh?
Oh, sure. Oh, no, I won't.
Well, I can't figure that one out. Here's the other pigeon, not hurt a bit. Skipper said one of G47's men came and took it out of the coat. Handled it very carefully and put it back.
What could that be for, Tex?
I don't know.
Oh, they just did something to it so it can't carry messages for us.
May I see the pigeon, Captain Bradford?
Certainly, Joan. Here you are.
Such a soft and warm little thing. He's rather nervous, I think. Let me see. Yes. So that is it. This pigeon could not leave the island now, Captain, through the fog ring.
Have they done something to it so the gas will affect it?
Wait a minute. Let me feel that pigeon. Yep. Remember when we got off the yacht the first time and we tried to walk? That magnetism held us still, even our hands.
What do you see, Jerry?
He feels it, Captain Bradford. Before you had time to leave the yacht when you first landed, a magnetic paint had been put on the rail and deck of the yacht in the yellow darkness, so that you could not move when the current was turned on.
Then that is what's been done to this pigeon? I can't see it.
The paint is colorless and odorless, but it lasts for many hours, and this pigeon is now covered with it and could never get outside the magnetic circle. We have lost our only hope, Captain Bradford.
When Jerry released a homing pigeon with a message to Johnson on the rescue boat, it was stopped by gas in the fog ring surrounding the island. G47 is now working on the formula taken from the message. The formula he believes to be Captain Tex Bradford's universal solvent. The other pigeon has been covered with magnetic paint to make it impossible for him to fly through the fog around the island. It is daylight, and as there is no chance of planning anything further toward their escape or rescue until dark, Mrs. Gregory and Captain Bradford are working in the chart room of the yacht, while Joan takes Jerry on a tour of the Magic Island.
Now, Jerry, you must do just as I tell you and do not touch anything without permission.
This is going to be some sightseeing tour. Like letting 2 of the prisoners in jail go around and look at the other prisoners.
You're supposed to be a clever boy, Jerry.
Supposed to be? I am clever.
Then if you are, you should appreciate the opportunity of going through some of the laboratories and control chambers on the island,
and perhaps observing something which will facilitate our ultimate plan of escape.
Hey, look, why don't you learn to talk English? All those big words are just a waste of time, and besides, I'm too busy for that.
You would find the larger words more expressive, Jerry, if you would only learn to employ them more frequently.
Okay, well, where do we start looking at all this stuff? We've been all over this island now, and I haven't seen anything but these little steel houses on top.
We are nearly to the general elevator shaft entrance. I will take you down into the subterranean observation chambers.
Well, take me where something makes a little noise, will you? This walking around on concrete that sounds like carpet is getting on my nerves.
There are not many places on the island where you will hear noise, Jerry. It is made silent deliberately and has proven the best method of protection yet discovered.
I don't see how.
Anything foreign to the island and its people, any boat, device, or method of communication which has any sound, is recorded instantly. While if there were local noises, it would be difficult to distinguish sounds emanating from an outside influence.
Never mind. I'll figure out the next one myself.
Here we are, Jerry.
Here we are where?
At the elevator entrance.
Well, maybe you're right. But I can't see anything except this little platform of steel on the floor of the island.
That is the elevator.
Gee whiz.
Cleostra at the main elevator shaft. Cleostra at the main elevator shaft.
Hey, what is this? Your name's Joan now. Cut out that Cleostra stuff.
I am called Cleostra here on Euclidia, and it is the only name they will ever recognize.
Oh, all right. But what was that hocus-pocus you started to recite?
When I identified myself, my voice was recorded in the main control chamber in the center of the island. One of the guards looked out to see if it was really I, saw you with me, communicated with G47, secured his permission to allow you to enter, and started the machinery which is raising the top of the elevator shaft.
Oh, there wasn't time enough for all that to happen.
When you have been longer on Euclidia, you will learn the reason the Euclideans speak of time in seconds. Minutes are too long for the speed and accuracy of things on this island.
Everything on this island is nutty. Boy, look at that thing come up out of the island. It's pretty near as tall as we are now.
It will soon be ready to enter.
But say, when I ran after those fellows who went down inside the island when they thought someone was escaping, that was a regular building. It stuck up out of the island all the time. We didn't have to wait for it to grow like this thing is doing.
That was the elevator in the control chamber. Only the trusted members of the scientist group are allowed to use that.
Then why didn't they stop me when I tagged along with them?
Doubtless they thought you would foolishly say something or do something that would be of use to them. Remember, these men want very badly something that Captain Bradford, and only Captain Bradford, has.
Keep quiet. If they heard you asking for this elevator, they can hear all we can say now.
Certainly they can, but we will talk about nothing that is not already known. Now the chamber has stopped rising. We may enter.
Okay, but that wall looks kind of solid to me.
It is opening now.
How's that thing run? Compressed air?
No, Jerry. All elevators on the island are run and controlled by electromagnets.
Gee, a magnet strong enough to lift that elevator?
Were not the magnets strong enough to pull my mother's large yacht to the island?
That's right. Boy, what a place.
Now we will enter.
Hooray! Something makes noise. Boy, I'm going to stay in this elevator just so I can hear the noise of our feet.
Stop that, Jerry. The Euclideans will not like it. The vibrations will be so heavy they will overload the delicate recording instrument.
Anyhow, I found a place I can come to for a little noise when the quiet on the rest of this island drives me crazy.
Now we will descend. To what floor would you like to go?
Make it easy on yourself, kid.
Jerry, I do not know what you mean.
I'm sorry. What I meant to say was, it will be my pleasure to leave the choice of points of interest on this tour completely in your hands.
Why, Jerry, you can speak properly when you want to.
Oh, I can do a lot of things that I don't show off about all the time. Well, let's get going.
I think you would enjoy seeing the submarine locks. We will go down to the 5th level, 50 feet below the ceiling of the island. You may press the indicator button there, the numeral 5.
Okay, it's pushed. Boy, this is slick. The door is closing all by itself.
Nearly everything on the island is automatic.
Now we're starting down. This sure runs nice and smooth. What happened? We've stopped.
Only for a moment. That is a check on the 10-foot level.
And that happens on every floor, every level?
On this elevator, yes. Some of the private elevators of the scientists and the escape elevators will drop rapidly and continuously. But this one...
That's the second level, huh?
Yes. Now it will release again. You see? This elevator is made so it may only be run one floor at a time, as it is in general use by everyone on the island and can easily be stopped at each floor from the control chambers in the event of escape.
There it is again, the third level now. But I don't see how all this is done by magnets. Of course, I can feel them take hold and then let go of the car, like that one just then let go. But how do they pull it up and control it all by magnets?
They employ both types of electromagnets. The tractive is used to move the car through the shaft, and the portative to hold and release it at the various levels.
You sure learned a lot from these guys. Now we're at the fourth level. The next one will be ours, huh?
Yes, the car will automatically stop and the door open at the fifth level.
I wish Captain Bradford and your mother could see all this.
Oh, they will. I wanted them to come with us today, but Mother and the captain had something to work on in the chart room of the yacht, and I think they wanted to be alone while working it out.
Gee, we're at the fifth level now. And this is 50 feet below the top of the water? 50 feet below sea level?
Hardly that, Jerry. At high tide, the surface of the island is well above the water level. Remember that you stepped from the deck of the yacht directly onto the island pier.
Oh, sure, that's right. But we're 50 feet below the top of the island, and maybe 40 feet below water level?
That is right, Jerry. Now, when this door opens, I will take you on an inspection tour of the island submarine locks. This is the level at which they are anchored.
And you can get into the subs down here in more than 6 fathoms of water?
Naturally. G47 has always said it was very stupid to call a boat a submarine when it had to be loaded on the surface. These boats have never been on the surface.
Oh, where do they build them then?
On this level. You will see one under construction when we... Well, that is strange. The door should be opening now.
Well, maybe we're supposed to push something to make it open.
No, it will open automatically or not at all. I've never seen it take this long.
Something's wrong with it then. What'll happen if I try to open it?
Nothing. You will simply not be able to open it.
Well, I'm going to try anyhow. No, nothing doing. Well, this is your party. Where do we go from here?
It must be that something secret is being done on this level and the door checks are set. Push the indicators for one of the other levels. We will go there for the time.
Okay. I'll try number 6. There we are.
On the 6th level, you will see the... Jerry, something is very wrong here. The car does not move.
By Ginger, you're right. We're stuck. I guess their electricity has failed them.
Jerry, that thumping noise. This car is going to be held here.
What do you mean? What's that noise?
Those are the permanent magnets being set into place to hold this car. You can hear them taking hold.
What does that mean, Joan?
I'm afraid, Jerry. It may mean something terrible. There's an emergency of some kind. All the electrical energy is needed someplace on the island. That is why they're placing the permanent magnets to hold this car, so the electromagnets will not drain the current supply.
Well, what can we do? What can happen to us here?
I am not sure, though I think we are in no danger. But what is happening?
Well, whatever it is, I don't like it. I'm going to try pushing some of these buttons for the other levels.
Well, that will do no good, Jerry. I'm sure the current has been taken from the electromagnets. Yes. And it is being taken from the lighting system.
Golly whiskers. The light's going out. It's gone.
Oh, Jerry. What will happen now?
Now, don't act like a girl. We've got to... Hey, what's that noise?
Water. Water rushing around the elevator shaft. The submarine lock must have broken. Oh, Jerry. In this awful dark, with the water rushing around us, what will happen?
If this car is airtight, we'll be all right. I guess. There's that alarm gong again. What's that mean?
That is the submarine level emergency signal. Jerry, the lock must have broken. The ocean is flooding into this level. Oh, Jerry! Jerry!
Gee whiz, Joan. You act just like any other girl when something's gone wrong. You ought to know all about these things. Can't you do something to get us out of here?
No. The electricity is turned off. The car can't be moved. And if we could open the door, we would be drowned.
But somebody will come and get us out. They know we're in here.
Well, that would make no difference to the Euclideans. Their island comes first with them. And we will be looked for only after the damage is repaired and the instruments checked.
But, gee, we can't stay in here. This thing's airtight. I know it must be. And we'll run out of air to breathe pretty soon.
Yes. The air will be shut off. Oh, Jerry, I'm afraid. Listen. Listen to the water. The elevator shaft is shaking with it.
Yeah. It's getting kind of hard to breathe in here.
Oh, Jerry. Listen.
Super delicious cereal presents The Adventures of Superman. Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman. And today, the wily Mr. Jones is waiting to catch the Man of Steel in his trap. We'll learn what happens in a moment, but right now, let's see what Dan McCullough has in store for us.
You know, gang, if there were a hall of fame for funny paper characters, we could hang pictures of those comic buttons you're all collecting from packages of Kellogg's Pep. Because every one of those characters is really famous. Take Orphan Annie, for instance. Folks have followed her adventures with her dog Sandy for years and years. And Skeezix, well, he's famous as an all-around typical American fellow. And Superman himself. Everybody's heard of the wonderful things he does to straighten out people's troubles and stop crime. So it's a real thrill to wear these comic buttons pinned on your jacket or your dress or cap. The colors are so bright and dazzling that, well, these pictures really stand out against the white enamel background. And what fun it is to work on your collection and to swap duplicates with your pals and get a new comic button every time Mom opens a package of Kellogg's Pep. That's the only way you can get them, you know. You don't send in any money, not even a box top, and you can't buy them anywhere. All you do is to ask Mom to get you a good supply of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, and you'll find an exclusive prize in every package. Get your comic buttons, gang, from P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, the adventures of Superman.
Convinced that he can destroy Superman, Mr. Jones, the murderous and eccentric leader of the Crescent and Star Gang, allied himself with a powerful racketeer called the Lapper, who has one of the two stolen pieces of kryptonite, the strange, deadly element which robs Superman of all his strength. Jones sent a letter containing a tiny particle of the kryptonite to Clark Kent, instructing him to have Superman insert an advertisement in the Daily Planet, telling Jones how to contact him so that they could negotiate for the balance of the kryptonite. As we continue now, it is late afternoon of the following day. In his guise of Clark Kent, Superman waits anxiously in his apartment with his friend Batman for a phone call from Mr. Jones. Listen.
What time is it now, Batman?
It's almost 5 o'clock.
Huh? Well, the Daily Planet's been on the street since noon with my ad telling Jones to call me here. Well, what's holding him up?
Maybe he doesn't intend to call Kent.
Well, what makes you say that?
Well, this could be a clever stall by Mr. Jones, keeping his tie to a telephone while he shakes the dust of Metropolis from his feet.
He's too slippery a customer to have to resort to that. Twice now, he and that Hindu servant of his got away under our very noses.
Oh, I'll never forgive myself for that.
Well, Jones is a fox. I only knew what game he's up to.
A dirty game, chum. You can depend on that.
Oh, sure, but what? First he says he's going to destroy Superman with the kryptonite. Then he writes me a letter telling me to contact Superman so they can negotiate for the stuff.
Well, it's obvious he's trying to trap you.
That's the trouble. It's too obvious. Jones is far too clever for that.
Well, we'll know more when he calls. If he calls.
Oh, I think he will.
Oh, I don't...
Oh, hold everything. Might be him now.
If it is, hold the phone a little away from your ear so I can listen in.
Right. Hello?
Mr. Kent?
Yes,
who? Mr. Jones.
Oh, yes, Mr. Jones.
I understand you've been in touch with Superman since you received my note yesterday.
Yes, I was lucky enough to be able to contact him.
That's a hot one.
Did you show him the sliver of kryptonite I enclosed?
He saw it.
I presume he's interested in securing the 2 stolen pieces.
That's right, Mr. Jones. Do you have them?
I do. And I'm willing to give them to Superman.
What? You are?
For a price, of course.
Oh, what's your price?
My representative will inform Superman of that personally.
Who is your representative?
My brother has consented to act for me.
You mean your twin brother, Algernon Phillips?
Exactly. Exactly. My brother will be home this evening. If Superman will call on him alone, he will be given my terms for the kryptonite. If Superman accepts the terms, my brother will tell me when I communicate with him later, and I will then arrange for the transaction to be carried out. Is that clear?
Well, yes, but I...
Goodbye, Mr. King.
Wait a minute. Hello. Hello. Oh, he hung up. Did you hear everything, Batman?
I sure did. Now, look, I don't like this. Jones knows he can't make any deals with Superman.
Well, a crook believes every man has his price.
No, I don't like it, I tell you. He's setting a trap for you.
Uh-huh, that's what we're going to find out. Come on.
Where?
There are a couple of hours left before dark. Plenty of time for us to look the land over thoroughly. I'll strip down to my costume and we'll make the first look-see at Algernon Phillips' house by air.
I still don't like it, but okay if you say so. I'll give Robin a ring and have him meet us. He's a smart little potato and might come in handy.
Good.
P-L-2-1. But even as Kent and Batman prepare to investigate the home of Algernon Phillips, the gentle little choir leader has just been roughly pushed into his twin brother's hideout by 2 burly men and Tara, Mr. Jones's Hindu servant. The slender, scholarly Mr. Jones settled his shawl around his thin shoulders and carefully sprayed his throat with his silver atomizer as his brother voiced an angry protest.
Oh, what does this mean, Richard? My throat feels fine now. No, don't come any closer to me. You've just been outside and your lungs are full of germs. Nonsense, Richard. It's this hot, foul room that's full of germs. Tell me what this means, Richard. Why I was brought here. Haven't you always been anxious to see me? To try to win me from my evil ways with your stupid preaching? I know now I wasted my breath. I always refused to believe it, Richard, but now I know your evil clear through. You're a murderer. And so you, my own brother, tried to betray me to my enemies. No, they thought I was you and that Lois Lane, an innocent girl, was in league with me. And to think that all these years I kept a soft spot in my heart for you. I should have known better. I learned long ago that no man is to be trusted. Oh, please don't speak that way, Richard. I implore you to give yourself up to the police and to God. Try to see his way. Give myself up to the police. Listen to the fool, Tara.
He is indeed a fool, Master.
He's the greatest fool who ever lived. And now he's going to pay for it. And for trying to double-cross me. Pull the bell cord for Marco, Tara.
Yes, Master.
I don't understand, Richard. What are you going to do?
You want me, Mr. Jones?
Yes, Marco. Take this gentleman downstairs.
Okay, boys. Come on, pal.
No, let go.
Come on, I said.
Well, where are you taking me? Let me go, please.
Shut your trap and get going.
Goodbye, my saintly brother. Hurry and close the door after you, Marco. There's a draft.
Okay, boy.
Beastly cold air. It doesn't give me a chill. I mustn't.
You are not going to spray your throat, Master?
No, Tara. I must get used to doing without my atomizer tonight. I only hope I won't catch pneumonia.
Why must you do without your atomizer tonight?
Because I'm going to impersonate my saintly brother, of course. Did you buy those special throat lozenges I told you to?
Yes, Master. Here they are.
I'll start chewing them now. You have the key to my brother's apartment?
Yes, Master.
And you've made all the other arrangements?
Everything, Master.
Good. These lozenges are terrible. Sure, they can't protect my delicate throat. But we're playing for such high stakes, I must take the risk. Just imagine, Tara. Before the night is over, Superman will be dead.
But are you sure you can destroy Superman, Master? So many others have failed. They have failed.
I can't fail. Not with the kryptonite and the other arrangements in Project 3 on Mount George.
How do you plan to get Superman to Mount George? You said you were to meet him this evening in your brother's apartment in Metropolis.
You see the bottle on the table there?
You mean the bottle of ink, Master? Which the chemist Bush prepared last night?
It looks like ink, but it isn't.
No?
No. It's a solution of pure kryptonite, dyed the color of ink. When the special rubber stopper is removed from the bottle, the emanations of the kryptonite will make Superman weak as a baby.
It is magic, Master?
What our purpose is, it's better than magic. It's time for me to go to my brother's apartment. See the cab is ready. I'll spray my throat once more before I leave. If only I don't take pneumonia.
Feverishly, Mr. Jones sprays his throat before leaving to set a trap for Superman. We'll return in a moment for the 10th climax of today's episode. But first, here again is your announcer.
Say, isn't it swell, gang, that you can have fun with your collection of comic buttons from packages of Kellogg's Pep, any kind of weather and any time of day? Both fellas and girls, too. And whenever you meet up with one of your pals, there's the business of comparing notes on how many you've collected so far and showing off how smart these brilliant-colored buttons look pinned on your jacket or your dress or cap. And it's even more fun trading duplicates, like an extra button with Smitty's picture in exchange for K.O. if you don't have him yet, or Winnie Winkle traded for Smokey Stover, or Smiling Jack for Superman. Yes, sir, for fun and for doggone good looks, these comic buttons are really on the beam. They're done up in full comic strip colors on a sturdy white enamel button made of real metal, so they last and last. And easy to get? Why, you don't send in a single penny, not even a box stop, and you can't buy them anywhere. All you do is to ask Mom to get you a package or two of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Then look inside the package for your prize, another exciting comic button for your collection. Remember, that's an exclusive prize for you from P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, back to the adventures of Superman.
A nearby steeple clock chimes the hour of 8 as Superman and Batman stand together in a vacant lot under a dark, moonless sky a block from Mr. Algernon Phillips' house. Across the street, Robin, Batman's young companion, keeps watch.
Coast looks clear, Batman. I'll drop in on Mr. Phillips now and find out what's what.
I don't like it, Superman. I've got a crawly feeling on the back of my neck. That always means danger.
Well, frankly, I don't like the setup either. But I can't see anything wrong. Phillips got home about an hour ago, and you and Robin have scouted the place for 2 hours. I've flown over it so many times, I can tell you how many threads there are in his rug. I've examined every inch of the apartment and everything in it. And I'm sure there's no kryptonite there. That's the only thing in the world I have to fear.
I know, but I still don't like it. Jones is a sly fox.
I've got to take the chance. Must get rid of the kryptonite before it can be used against me again, and against the world. Don't forget the Atom Man.
I haven't. And I know you have to take the chance, but... Oh, well, maybe I'm getting to be an old woman, but I'll tell you this. If you aren't out in 1 hour, Robin and I are coming in after you.
Oh, I'll be out long before that. So long.
Up and away!
There we are. I'll ring the doorbell. Here he comes. Everything looks all right. Oh, good evening, Mr. Phillips.
Oh, Superman, I've been expecting you. Come in, please.
Thank you.
Unaware that the slender, scholarly-looking man in the pince-nez glasses and worn smoking jacket is the murderous Mr. Jones, and that what he has identified as an innocent bottle of ink is in reality a solution of kryptonite, Superman walks into the house and into a trap. What will happen? Tomorrow's episode is packed with suspense and drama, fellows and girls, so don't miss it. Tune in, same time, same station, for a thrill a minute in The Adventures of Superman. Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. Say, gang, get a load of this. Kellogg's Variety is back. That's the famous variety carton of 6 swell Kellogg cereals in 10 separate packages. Makes breakfast more fun than a picnic. With Kellogg's Variety on the table, you can choose among Kellogg's Rice Krispies, Pep, Corn Flakes, shredded wheat, crumbles, and 40% bran flakes. Simply help yourself to your favorite. Each box holds a fresh, crisp, heaping portion. So ask Mom to get Kellogg's variety right away. And be sure to be with us tomorrow for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents The Adventures of Superman. Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman. And today, in the apartment of Mr. Jones, the cunning arch criminal is seeking to loose the terrible power of kryptonite against the Man of Steel. We'll take you to the scene in a moment, but right now, here's Dan McCullough and his young pal Eddie, who seems to be busy with pencil and paper. Let's see what's going on.
Hey, what are you writing, Eddie? Hey, Eddie.
Huh?
What are you so busy about?
Oh, I'm writing a play.
Yeah?
Which do you think would make the better heroine, Dan? Nina or Lillums?
Nina or Lillums who?
You know, on those comic buttons the kids are all collecting from packages of Kellogg's Pep.
Oh, sure I knew. Nina and Lillums from the funny papers. Well, now, let's see. One's a blonde and one's a brunette.
Yeah. I think Lillums would be a glamorous heroine, don't you?
Well, maybe. What's your play about?
Well, the heroine is traveling around the world, see, but she gets lost in the middle of an Egyptian desert. Then I thought I'd have Superman rescue her.
Sounds like that plot has possibilities.
Some of us kids are going to give the play a club meeting tomorrow afternoon, so I have to hurry up and get it written.
Well, while you're about it, Eddie, find a place in your script for some of the other characters on those swell comic buttons, like Smitty or K.O. or Orphan Annie. You've got a lot of funny paper characters to pick from because there are 18 different buttons in all. And fellows and girls in the gang say that every single one looks as real as in the comic strips, done up in full comic strip colors, too. So these buttons really show up when you wear them pinned on your jacket or your dress or cap. But you know, the best part is, it's so easy to collect these comic buttons. You don't send in any money, not even a box stop, and you can't buy them anywhere. All you do is to ask Mom to get you some of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep, and you'll find your prize in every package. Remember, that's P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, the adventures of Superman.
Plotting to destroy Superman, Mr. Jones, the sinister leader of the Crescent and Star gang, set a deadly trap for the Man of Steel. Locating the chemist who had worked with the late Atom Man, Mr. Jones had him dissolve a small amount of kryptonite, the strange green glowing element which robbed Superman of all his strength. The solution was then dyed the color of ink and placed in an ordinary ink bottle. As we continue now, Superman has come to the home of Mr. Jones's twin brother, a kindly music teacher named Algernon Phillips, who was named by Mr. Jones to negotiate with Superman for the return of the 2 stolen pieces of kryptonite. As his friends Batman and Robin wait anxiously outside in the darkness, Superman enters Mr. Phillips' music studio, unaware that the slender, scholarly man facing him is in reality Mr. Jones, who is impersonating his twin brother, and that the sealed, harmless-looking ink bottle on the desk contains deadly kryptonite. Listen.
Let's get right down to business, Mr. Phillips. Your brother said he has the 2 stolen pieces of kryptonite, and he's willing to turn them over to me for a price.
That's right.
What's his price?
One moment, please. My brother insisted that before we discuss the details, I must be convinced beyond doubt that you are Superman.
What do I look like? Little Orphan Annie?
Oh, please understand me, sir. It's not I who am suspicious. I am placed in the unhappy position of having to represent a miserable criminal who happens to be my own brother. He suggests that a police officer, for example, could secure such a costume as the one you wear.
I see. All right, what do you want me to do?
Well, my brother suggested a test.
What is it?
He said that if you really are Superman, you would have no difficulty in lifting my grand piano.
Oh, that's easy.
One moment.
Yes?
And sustaining it and yourself in midair.
All right. Watch closely, Mr. Phillips. First, I'll lift the piano like this.
Good heavens! Why, you lifted it as easily as you would a toy.
Now, up to the ceiling. Up!
My word! You did it.
Satisfied, Mr. Phillips? Or would you like me to stay up here and play chopsticks on the piano?
Oh, dear, no. I'm quite satisfied. Come down at once, please, and don't drop the piano.
Right. Down! I believe the piano stood right here. Now, if you're convinced I'm Superman, we can... What's the matter with you? You're shivering.
Well, you created quite a draft, flying up and down. I'm fighting a cold at the moment, so if you don't mind, here, I'll take a throat lozenge. May I offer you one?
No, thanks. That's funny.
What is?
The other night, Christmas Eve, you were out in the snow without a hat. You said you never took cold.
Did I now? Well, pride goeth before a fall, Superman. Perhaps I spoke too hastily. Or perhaps I'm not as young as I used to be. But I know you're anxious to get this business over with, and frankly, so am I. It's most distasteful for me to realize I'm representing a criminal, even if he is my own blood brother.
Yes, well...
Perhaps I should make my brother's position clear first, so that you'll be able to understand the reason for his term.
Go ahead.
Thank you. You see, my brother suffered an unfortunate accident during his college days, and he was never the same after that. He acquired a quite morbid fear of death, for one thing.
But not of murder.
No, unfortunately. Well, since you discovered the hideout of his Crescent and Star organization and got on his track and then discovered that he'd shot the Scarlet Widow, he is mortally afraid that you will eventually trace him and turn him over to the police, who'll put him in the electric chair.
He's not kidding.
It's because of that he's willing to give up the 2 stolen pieces of kryptonite.
I don't get it. What do you mean?
Well, my brother wishes to live out the rest of his allotted days in safety and security. He has plenty of money.
Now, wait a minute. If you mean he wants to trade the kryptonite for his freedom, nothing doing. He's guilty of murder and heaven knows how many other crimes. The police will never dream of making a bargain with him.
He isn't thinking of the police, but of you.
Me?
Yes. He says he's willing to take his chances with the police. He's outwitted them times without number in the past, and he feels that he can do so again. But he's afraid he may not be able to outwit you.
So that's it. He wants me to promise to let him alone.
Yes. In return for which he'll turn over the kryptonite to you. Here, I have pen and ink right here. If you'll sign an agreement...
Just a moment, Mr. Phillips.
We can make it a very simple agreement. My brother says he knows that your word is your bond. Here, I'll just open this bottle of ink.
Come back here.
But
I don't intend to sign any such agreement.
Oh, you don't?
No. I realize how great a danger the kryptonite is to me, but...
And to the rest of the world, Superman. Don't forget the Atom Man.
We'll take our chances on that. I will not do business with a crook and a murderer.
That is your last word?
It is. Now I'll say good night.
One moment, please.
Yes?
I wonder if you would object to putting your refusal in writing.
Why, what's the idea?
To save my life.
What do you mean?
Well, my brother knows I undertook this task most unwillingly. He also knows that I attempted to help the police trap him the other evening. He was sure you'd accept his offer at once, and when I tell him you refused, well, he may not believe me.
I see. All right. I'll write no and sign it. Will that do?
Oh, yes, and I'll be very grateful. I have paper in this drawer. I really think you're making a mistake, Superman.
Well, we all have to stand or fall by our own decisions.
I'm afraid that you're going to fall.
What do you mean?
My brother's a very dangerous man. I don't think you quite realize that.
Oh, yes, I do. But your brother doesn't realize that crime doesn't pay. He's going to learn that. Now, is this the paper you want me to write on?
If you please.
Very well.
I'm afraid I'm a bit old-fashioned. I don't have a fountain pen.
Oh, this straight pen looks all right.
It is. And I just got this new bottle of ink. Here, I'll open it for you.
I'll open it.
Oh, don't bother. I can manage it. There we are. Now then.
His face turned from Superman, Mr. Jones allows a crooked smile of triumph to part his thin lips as he pulls the stopper from the ink bottle containing the dissolved kryptonite. We'll return in a moment for the exciting climax of today's episode. But first, here again is your announcer.
Humdingers, on the beam, really snappy looking. Yes, that's what fellows and girls are saying about the comic buttons you're all collecting from packages of Kellogg's Pep. And no wonder these swell prizes are so popular, because they're so bright-colored and gleaming. Really show up when you wear them pinned on your jacket or your dress or cap. And because they're made of sturdy metal, so that you'll have them a long time. And because every single one of these 18 different buttons has a true-to-life picture of one of your favorite comic strip characters, like Smilin' Jack and Lillums and Superman himself. Yes, sir, it's a load of fun to collect these comic buttons and exchange duplicates with your pals. What's more, they're easy to get. You don't send in any money, not even a box top, and you can't buy them anywhere. They come only as prizes in packages of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Right now, gang, remind Mom to get you a package or two of P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, back to the adventures of Superman.
Posing as his twin brother, the choir leader, Mr. Jones offered to trade the kryptonite for Superman's promise not to search for him thereafter. When the Man of Steel refused, Mr. Jones asked him to put his refusal in writing. And when Superman agreed, the cunning gang leader opened what appeared to be a bottle of ink, but which actually contained some of the deadly kryptonite, which had been dissolved and dyed black. As we continue now, Superman, reaching for the pen, has suddenly paled and staggered.
What?
What's the matter, Superman?
I don't know. I feel funny.
Really?
Yes. I'm weak. As if
what? Shall I get you a glass of water?
Yes, please. I'll just sit down. Oh, I can't understand. Wait. I feel the same way I did when I was in the presence of the kryptonite.
Do you really?
What are you grinning at? Wait. I know. There's kryptonite in this room.
There is indeed.
Of course. The ink. The kryptonite was dissolved, dyed the color of ink.
How clever you are, Superman.
Oh, devil, I get it now. You're not Phillips. You're Jones.
Right again. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll make a short phone call, and then we'll be on our way. Both of us.
What do you mean?
Tara is close by. He'll be here directly with a... all right, Tara. I'm ready for you. Tara will be here in a moment or two. Then we can go to Mount George.
Mount George?
Yes, to Project 3.
What?
Where we have some excellent equipment. Excellent for our purpose.
What purpose?
Why, your destruction, of course, Superman.
You're mad. You can't kill me.
You're wrong, my friend. Very wrong.
No.
We know why the Atom Man, with all his atomic power, couldn't finish you. But we can.
You're mad. Batman!
I know Batman is outside.
Help.
He can't see you or hear you. And he can't help you.
Batman.
Nobody can help you. Just a minute.
Batman.
Tara.
Batman.
Come in, Tara, and bring that stretcher in with you. Our friend is all ready for his little trip. His last trip in this world.
Helpless, unable to move under the spell of the kryptonite, Superman sees the turbaned Hindu boy and a burly companion enter through the back door of the apartment with Mr. Jones, dragging a stretcher behind them. What will happen? Batman and Robin are outside. Is there any chance that they can intervene to save Superman before he's taken to the mysterious Project 3 on Mount George? Well, don't miss tomorrow's exciting episode, fellows and girls. Superman is in real danger of his life. So tune in tomorrow, same time, same station, for the adventures of Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. Say, gang, you'll get a bang out of this. Kellogg's Variety is back. That's the grand 10-package assortment of 6 swell Kellogg cereals. Makes breakfast more fun than a picnic. Makes it easy for Mom, too. No dishes to wash, thanks to the new Kel Bowl Pack. You can eat right out of it. What's more, these generous packages are great for lunch boxes and outings. So ask Mom to hurry and get Kellogg's Variety at the grocer's her very first chance. And be sure to be with us tomorrow for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting.
Tired of the everyday routine? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all?
We offer you Escape. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight, we escape to the island of Pelota in the South Seas, and an exciting tale of the strangest bargain ever made, as we bring you Letter from Jason, adapted from George F. Worth's famous story, Sunk.
No, John. My mind's made up, and all your eloquence won't change it. You'll understand why when you hear this letter I got today. A letter from Jason. Yes, at last. Listen to this, John. Dearest Ellen, he writes. After the terrible things I did and said to you that last night, there seemed to me to be only one way out. I had failed you as a husband. I had failed the baby as a father. There wasn't anything I hadn't failed at, excepting booze. I was a great success in a saloon. But this is no news to you. You might, however, be interested in what happened after I walked out on you that night. Well, actually, I don't remember much of the night. But the next morning, when I woke up in a rooming house south of the slot, I remembered enough. I knew I couldn't go back, and I didn't see any point of going on. But I even failed as a suicide. Somebody smelled gas and called the police. When I came to in the receiving hospital, Uncle Jeffrey was there.
Well, Jason, you've sunk pretty low.
Oh, go away and leave me alone.
You must have been drunk to find the courage to try suicide.
I don't ever really get drunk anymore. I just drink.
It's scarcely news. What about your wife and child?
You're suddenly very solicitous.
No, I never approved of your marriage, but you're still my brother's son. Why did you try to do this?
Money. A couple of other things, but money principally.
Your father left you plenty of money, too much for your own good.
Now it's gone.
Of course it's gone.
I'm over my years in debt.
How much do you owe?
More than I could pay back in a year, and some of them won't wait. There's a bookie in Sacramento Street.
How much?
More than $3,000.
Why didn't you come to me for it?
Would you have given it to me?
You know I wouldn't.
Why, you're getting a big kick out of this, aren't you, Uncle? Get out. Get out.
Jason, you misunderstand me. I didn't come here for fun. I came on business.
What?
Yes, I came to offer you a job.
Oh, that's funny. That's a great big laugh.
No, I'm serious. On the way over here, I did a lot of thinking. Since you're ready to die anyway, perhaps I can arrange it in a way to provide for your wife and child. Yes, and pay your debts.
Oh.
You know where I spent my youth?
Yes. Poaching pearls in the South Seas with my father.
Really, Jason? That's an ungrateful conclusion and unkind to the memory of your father. You were traders, honest traders. But there were others not so honest. There were killers down there in those days. There's one in particular who crossed me several times and is still alive. His name is Jake Finch.
What the devil are you talking about?
A business deal, Jason. I want Jake Finch killed. Since your life doesn't mean anything to you, you might as well take the job.
Me? Kill a man?
That's right. This morning, you tried to kill yourself for nothing. I'm offering you a chance to kill and be paid for it.
How much?
Your debts. And $25,000 to your wife after Finch is dead.
It's a lot of money.
It's worth it to me to see Finch dead. Well?
And after I've killed him, what then?
Helen is provided for.
And me?
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Where is this man?
He lives on the island of Pelota, 3 weeks' sail from Tahiti.
How romantic.
Not at all. He's a dangerous, treacherous killer. You're going to have to meet him face to face. He's lived too long to be caught off guard.
What makes you think I'll have the guts to kill him?
I'll be along to see that you do.
What?
Yes, and to see that my name is not connected with the matter. If you kill him, it will be in self-defense.
So I've sunk pretty low, have I, Uncle? What about you?
That's neither here nor there. Do you want the job?
No. But I'll take it for Ellen's sake.
Yes, John, I know it sounds incredible, but don't be so hasty in your judgment. The letter from Jason goes on. I suppose if I hadn't been foggy with booze and gas fumes, I would never have accepted such a dreadful proposition, even though it meant security for you. But once I agreed, Uncle Jeffrey wasted no time. He paid my debt and sent you that $1,000 check as an advance on my murder fee. And in less than 24 hours, we were slipping through the Golden Gate bound for Tahiti. It wasn't any different aboard ship. They have bars, too, and wonderful brandy, French cognac. I was really enjoying life, a cruise to the South Seas, all expenses paid. And then, the fourth day out, Uncle Jeffrey came into my cabin as I was breakfasting on a brandy milk.
Good morning, Uncle. Everything ship-shape topside?
Jason, it's time we got down to business.
Oh, sure. Anything you say.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Sure. Go ahead, Uncle.
Here. You better get used to the feel of this.
A gun? Is it loaded?
Naturally. Pick it up.
It's heavy.
Yes, it's a .45. Tear a hole in a man the size of a silver dollar.
Never held a gun in my hand before.
Aim it. There, at your reflection in the mirror. What's the matter, Jason? Your hand's shaking. You're perspiring.
I can't.
You must. Remember, if you want your wife to get that money, you'll have to kill Jake Finch, not just try to kill him.
I need a drink. I need a drink bad.
Poor mixed-up Jason. That was his solution for every problem, his answer to every challenge. I need a drink. He goes on to say, we arrived in Papeete, in Tahiti, on a Wednesday afternoon, but Uncle Jeffrey was in a hurry. He had chartered an island schooner, the Lorelei, and she was to sail at dawn the next morning for Pelota and Jake Finch. But at least I would have one evening ashore, and I intended to have it alone.
Well, see you later, Uncle Jeffrey.
Where are you going?
Sightseeing, one enchanted evening, that sort of thing.
Now, you wait till I get this luggage transferred to the schooner, and I'll go with you.
What's the matter? Afraid I'm going to get drunk?
I know you are.
That's where you're wrong. Got to stop sometime. I made up my mind I quit when we got to Tahiti, so I quit.
I don't believe you. You're drunk right now.
That's what you think. I'm not drunk, Uncle Jeffrey. I'm sick. I'm sick of the sight of you.
We still have a long way to go together.
I know. Let's understand each other right now. I hate your guts. It's perfectly clear that you hate mine. I made a bargain with you. I'll go through with it, for Ellen's sake. Weren't for her, I'd use that gun on you instead of Jake Finch.
Good. I'm glad that we understand each other so clearly.
I'll see you later.
Be aboard the Lorelei at midnight.
Don't worry. I'll be there.
I'm sure you will, Jason.
Papeete, the letter goes on, is not the South Sea paradise we dream of back home. Unpaved streets, miserable natives, provincial French colonists, but plenty of bars. I avoided them. I headed for the big hotel and a table on the terrace. Take away the palm trees and the French accent, and it was about as exotic as the commercial house in Sioux City.
Monsieur désire quelque chose à boire?
What did you say?
Oh, je m'excuse. Would monsieur like something to drink? An aperitif, perhaps? Cézanne? Du bonnet?
Oh, no, thank you. Just tea. Garçon?
Oui, monsieur?
My check, please.
Tout de suite, monsieur.
You know, that tea. That's pretty vile stuff.
Was there something wrong, monsieur? It is the very best Oolong.
Oh, no. I guess it was all right for tea.
Oui, monsieur. Voilà, monsieur.
Here you are. I keep the change.
Oh, merci beaucoup.
Oh, say, tell me. What's a good place for dinner?
Oh, ici, monsieur. The hotel has the best cuisine in Papier-Té.
But it's a little quiet, don't you think?
Peut-être. Then I should commend monsieur to chez Tante Marguerite, or the Southern Cross. At the Southern Cross, there are the girls.
Oh. Then I'll go to Marguerite's.
And with the dinner, monsieur desires to drink?
Water.
Water?
Yeah, just water.
But if monsieur will permit, we have a proverb in my native Normandie. Un repas sans vin est comme un jour sans soleil.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't understand French that well.
A meal without wine is like a day without sun.
Oh.
And surely with the cuisine of Tante Marguerite, one must not drink just water. Besides, the water in Papier-Té is not safe. I myself have lived here more than 20 years, and never have I tasted the Papier-Té water. Oh, no. I would recommend wine, monsieur. I urge it. With the langouste, a dry sauterne, monsieur.
Oh, well. Well, very well. A small bottle, then.
Monsieur has eaten well?
Oh, yes. Thank you.
And now perhaps liqueur?
No. I really don't.
Permit me to offer it, monsieur. As you say, on the house.
Well, no, that isn't
Cointreau, Chartreuse, Cognac.
Cognac. Oh, it's an excellent dinner, madame. An excellent liqueur, and the world begins to look all right again.
Of course it does, monsieur. Of course it does.
Now, madame, tell me. You know of a place here in Papier-Té called, the Southern Cross?
And who does not, monsieur?
Tell me how to get there, will you? Charlie! You deaf?
Oh, yes, mister. You like maybe something, huh?
Oh, yeah, another cognac.
Oh, yes, sir. You like cognac maybe, so. Help yourself.
Oh, sure, I like it. That's the best thing the French do, big cognac.
Oh, look out. You're spilling it.
I'm trying not to. Can't you see? I'm trying to hold it steady.
You're not so steady yourself.
Why can't I hold it steady? Yeah, it's like the gun. I can't hold the gun steady either. How can I shoot straight if I don't hold it steady?
All the same. Whiskey, gun. You can't go steady with both.
You go steady with me.
Oh. Well, hello, baby.
You are alone?
Yeah, I'm alone.
It is not good to be alone too much.
Oh, I don't mind.
You like me to keep you company.
I don't mind.
You have cigarettes for me?
Yeah,
hey,
sure,
mate, what's the big idea of annoying this lady?
Annoying? What do you mean? This little...
Watch your language.
Now, look, here, I'm sitting here minding my own business.
Well, now you're minding mine. Now, scram.
Well, I got as much right...
Are you looking for trouble?
Well, no. But it seems to me you are.
You little jerk. Okay, boys, carry him out. Nice work, sister. Here's your 100 francs.
Thank you, Captain Steve. You want me to make change?
Not now. Some other time. I got work to do now.
I know, John. It's the same old pattern. How well I know it. The promises and the failures. Anything could start him slipping. A glass of wine, the brandy sauce on the mince pie. Yes, or the sniff of the cork, if you like. But listen to Jason's letter. He goes on. The next thing I knew, I was in a narrow bed, in a creaking, rocking room, and I didn't feel well, darling, not well at all. I had the world's worst hangover.
Good morning, Jason.
Oh, Uncle Jeff. Where am I?
Aboard the Lorelei. 5 hours out of Papeete.
Oh.
Bad night?
Yeah, I guess so.
Looks like you were in a fight.
I was. I don't remember anything after it. How'd I get on board?
You were delivered at my instruction.
What do you mean?
My captain brought you aboard. I want you to meet him. Captain?
Yes, Mr. Sheldon?
Come in. I want you to meet my nephew, Jason Torrance.
How do you do, sir?
Why, you... We've already met, Uncle. This is the man who knocked me out.
I know, according to my instructions. That'll be all, Captain.
Yes, sir.
Well, you're a...
Save your breath,
You're the
Jason.
dirtiest...
Your head will only ache more if you get excited. I'm not trying to hide anything from you. Captain Steve is a tough guy, but not nearly as tough. Not half as quick or strong or hard to kill as Jake Finch. And he tells me you never even hit back.
Object lesson, huh?
That's right. You've already cost me a lot of money, and I want my money's worth. You're no good to me, drunk, or to yourself, or to your wife and child. Suppose you'd gotten in a real brawl in that saloon last night, where you could have been killed. And where would your wife and kid be? But believe me, I won't pay off until you kill Jake Finch.
I do believe you. I believe you let Ellen and the kid starve before you'd help them.
I would, Jason. You can be sure of that. Unless you kill Jake Finch.
All right, Uncle. I'm on the wagon from now on.
Oh, it's easy to say when you're still going on last night's booze.
I mean it. I've taken my last drink.
I wonder, Jason. I wonder. After he had left the cabin with that sneer on his face, Jason writes, I lay there hopeless and nearly helpless. For I knew now if I was to be helped at all, I would have to help myself. So I pulled my aching frame out of the bunk, and head throbbing and tongue thick, I climbed up onto the deck and faced the captain.
Well, Mr. Torrance, you had a nice long nap, huh?
Yeah, thanks to you. You got any work for me?
Work?
Yeah. You know, something to do. I want to get busy.
Well, now, there's always work aboard a sailing vessel. Know how to hold a stone a deck?
Does it take a college degree?
No. But you'll need something else. Muscles and guts.
Who said it gets easier day by day? Jason writes. It didn't for me. I was stiff and sore from using muscles that had never been used before. And the only thing I wanted was a drink, just one drink to ease the pain. But I knew I'd never stop with one. It got tighter and tighter inside me, and there had to be a breaking point. And then on the 10th day out, the captain sent me up to secure a block on the mainmast. The sea was kicking up a little, and when I was 15 feet above the deck, the schooner lurched suddenly. I lost my grip and fell. I grabbed at the shroud, and it bit into the skin of my palms, and I hit the deck and lay there for a moment, shaking with fear, knowing that this was the end of my fight. Then I got to my feet, ran down to the galley, and opened the cabinet where I knew the captain kept his brandy.
Having a little nip, Jason?
Yes! I'm through. You rotten bargain, you Jake Finch, and you're...
Through with Ellen and the baby. Through with keeping your word. Back where you started from. A gas-filled room, trying to commit suicide. Well, go ahead. What are you waiting for? You've got the bottle in your hand. Go ahead. Take your drink.
Shut up.
What are you waiting for, Jason?
Shut up.
Just remember, Jason, one drink will finish you. Jake Finch will kill you, and Ellen won't get the money. I'm a businessman, Jason. I made a bargain. Don't think I'm going to renege. I didn't want you to marry Ellen in the first place, remember? She won't get a penny from me when you die. Remember that. Be careful, Jason. You're trembling so, you might drop the bottle. Maybe you do need a drink, Jason. Think it over. It's an easy way out. And I won't embarrass you by staying and watching.
Murderer! You dirty murderer! I won't touch a drink. I won't touch it. I'll show you. I'll show you.
And then suddenly it grew a little easier. Not taking that drink was the turning point, I guess. The crying out inside, the need for liquor, grew slowly quieter. My muscles began to toughen. My whole body began to feel better, more alive. And the first time in years, I enjoyed eating. And I was learning to be a pretty good sailor. I began to get a kick out of the neat way the schooner handled, the clean feeling of the sea air, the wonder of just feeling good. And with this change, I slowly began to realize what kind of a bargain I had made. I didn't want to kill anyone. No, not for any reason. Not now, when I felt sure I could start my life over again.
You've made a bargain, and you'll stick to it.
I'm not the same now. I'm in good health. I'm strong. I can get a job and really take care of Ellen and the baby.
You should have thought of that before.
Well, I'm thinking about it now. I can't just deliberately go out and kill a man. I'm not going to go through with it.
All right, we anchor at Pelota tomorrow. If you refuse to carry out your end of our bargain, I'll put you off the schooner and leave you there. You won't see a ship for more than 6 months. And when it does come, you'll have sunk lower than you've ever been. You won't have passage money back to San Francisco. You'll die in Pelota. And Ellen won't see a penny of that $25,000.
You do that?
In a second.
But I'll pay you back the money you lent me.
I'm not interested in that. I want Finch killed. Believe me, he has it coming to him.
I don't care what he's done to you. I'm not going to go through with it.
Not only what he's done to me, Jason. I didn't want to tell you before. I never told you how your father died.
No, you never did.
Jake Finch killed him, Jason. Jake Finch killed your father.
Jason's letter continues. So you see, Ellen, what a diabolically clever scoundrel Uncle Jeffrey is. The last straw was that stuff about my father. I don't know whether he's lying or not, but it just might be true. And so this man who is playing God with my life has added the final motive for murder, vengeance. We're approaching the island of Pelota now, Ellen, and I have no other course but to find Jake Finch and kill him, or be killed by him. What a crying shame that I couldn't have found myself before this, for I know now what a wonderful life we might have had together. I hope you will find it with someone else, for you deserve better than I ever gave you. We're dropping anchor now, and I must go.
Well, there she is, Jason. Pelota, one of the loveliest islands in the Pacific.
It's a perfect setting for a murder.
Yes, isn't it? Feel up to it?
Don't worry about me. Where do I find Finch?
Everybody on the island knows him. Anyone can tell you where to find him. Try the traders or the bar. Good luck.
Aren't you coming?
Oh, no. Remember, I don't want to be connected with Jake Finch's death in any way. It's your affair now, not mine.
Yellow all the way through, aren't you, Uncle? Yellow and rich enough to hire thugs and murderers to do your dirty work. I ought to kill you instead of Finch. I'm coming, Captain.
Kill Finch first, Jason. Then you have my permission to kill me.
Good day to you, sir. Good day. Put in for supplies, have you?
No.
Well, we've got everything a trim little schooner like yours would be needing.
Look, can you tell me where I can find Jake Finch?
Jake Finch? What do you want with him?
Well, that's my business. Where is he?
I couldn't say exactly. He might be down on the beach this time of day.
Thank you. Oh, friend.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Well, I wasn't sure. Ain't been called friend in 20 years. What can I do for you, stranger?
I'm looking for Jake Finch.
Well, don't look at me. I ain't him.
Where can I find him?
Look here, mister. If this is your idea of a joke, it ain't funny to me.
I'm sorry. I'm simply looking for Jake Finch.
Well, look somewhere else. Look for him in a bar. That's the likeliest place to find Jake Finch.
Yes, sir. What'll it be? I got the finest brandy on the island. 4 years old, it is.
No, thank you. I'm looking for someone, but the place seems to be empty.
Oh, who are you looking for?
Jake Finch.
Jake Finch. What do you want with him?
I've got business with him.
Yeah? What kind of business? He inherited $1 million or something?
No. But I want to settle a debt with him.
Okay, mister. He's in the back room. This way. There he is.
That old bum?
Yeah. Sleeping it off. Been there since I closed up last night.
Jake Finch? This can't be Jake Finch.
Yes, one of them. There's more down on the beach, kicking around town.
What are you talking about?
There's at least a dozen Jake Finches here on Pelota.
A dozen?
Hey, look, somebody's been kidding you, mister. Don't you know? Jake Finch is the name we give any rum bum here on Pelota. They spend their last penny here in the bar and sleep it off on the beach. Drink, mister. All the Jake Finches drink themselves to death.
Jake Finch. Me. All along, the Jake Finch he wanted to kill was in me.
Hey, where you going?
I've got an apology to make.
You look like you need a drink. How about one for the road, huh?
No, thanks. I don't drink.
There it is, John. That's my letter from Jason. You understand now, don't you, why I'm asking you as my attorney to stop my divorce action immediately. I cabled Jason this morning that I'm waiting for him to come home.
Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson. Tonight we have presented Letter from Jason, adapted by Seeley Glester, Merwin Gerard, and Mr. Robeson, from Sunk by George F. Wirtz. Featured in the cast were Frank Lovejoy as Jason, Will Gear as Jeff, and Kay Brinker as Ellen. Special music was arranged and conducted by Del Castillo. Next week.
You are lying on a small knoll in the prairie west of the Platte River. In a few moments, dawn will herald the attack of the encircling Apaches. An attack of such fury that for you there can be no escape.
Next week, we escape with an exciting tale of the Old West, as James Warner Bella tells it in his thrilling story, Command.
Pardon me, Mr. Lamont. I'd like some information.
Why, it's Gracie Allen.
Can you tell me who that young man was with the wonderful deep voice?
Well, yes, that's Paul Frees.
Well, I'd love to meet him.
That'll be easy. Paul, this is Gracie Allen. Gracie, this is Paul Frees.
Hello, Gracie. Or should I call you Mrs. George Burns?
Well, yes, you should. You see, I've been Mrs. Burns ever since that day when a certain tall, handsome man came along and pronounced George and me man and wife.
I see.
But it's George I've come to talk to you about. You have such a beautiful voice yourself, so I thought if you let him sing on this program, our sponsor will hear him and realize how great he is. Then he'll let him sing on our program Wednesday nights.
Well, Gracie, this is not a musical program. This is Escape.
Well, George can make your program more popular. When he sings, everybody will be looking for Escape.
I'm sorry, Gracie. I'll have to turn you down.
Oh? Well, goodbye, Mr. Freeze. You are a cold man.
Goodbye, Gracie.
Be sure to listen next week, same time, when once again we offer you Escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Tired of the everyday routine? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all?
we offer you Escape. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure. Escape, brought to you by your Richfield gasoline dealer and the Richfield Oil Corporation of New York, marketers of Richfield gasolines, motor oils, and other petroleum products. Look for the Richfield Eagle on the cream and blue pumps.
Tonight, we escape to the prairie west of the Platte River and to the Indian fighting U.S. cavalry of the Old West, as James Warner Bella describes it in his exciting tale, Command.
Brittle, sir.
Yes, Sergeant.
Here comes Lieutenant Cohill back with the patrol.
Yes, I see him. Halt the column.
Yes, sir. Helm! 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 Helm!
Hand me my field glasses, Sergeant.
Yes, sir. Here you are, sir.
Thank you.
Captain Brittles.
Well, Mr. Cohill.
Here's the best body of grass, sir. This slope with the small run below for water. This is the best bivouac for tonight.
Mr. Cohill, do you see the rise there to the left behind you across the valley?
Yes, sir.
What are those shapes lying on that slope?
A small herd of buffalo. Sleeping, it seems. We didn't go that far, sir. We turned back when we saw them.
The wind has shifted a bit. Take a deep breath, Mr. Cohill.
Yes, sir.
Smell anything?
No, sir.
Take another deep breath, Mr. Cohill. Get it in your nostrils and tell me if what you smell is sleeping buffalo.
No, sir. It smells like dead men.
And not freshly killed.
Lieutenant Gresham and his squad, sir?
I imagine so. The men we've come to find. We'll make sure after nightfall. Mr. Cohill, there are several fairly obvious differences between the Great Plains and a classroom at West Point. There you can fail and try again. Here you may not have that chance. There they taught you, I am sure, that accuracy in observation is a military virtue. I suggest that you cultivate it here. Sergeant Utterback.
Yes, sir.
This is the bivouac. Dismount and unsaddle. Night grazing area between the crest of this hill and the creek bottom. Use the picket rope, no individual pins.
Yes, sir. Yes! Out! Yes! Out! Yes, now!
Yes, sir, Captain Brittles. No, sir, Captain Brittles. Of all the officers in the United States Cavalry, why did they have to assign me to him? A handbook soldier, overage and grade. A bitter failure of a soldier, marking time out here on the plains until he retires, taking up space in the table of organization, standing in the way of younger and more aggressive and, yes, more capable officers. My father wouldn't be guessing. Father would be over yonder right now to see if those corpses are really Gresham and his men. Father would have made sure instead of losing time making camp. The broken rattle Sergeant Utterback had found at noon showed clearly. Sir, that broken rattle the sergeant found.
Yes, Mr. Cohill?
What, we crossed the trace of that Sioux war party at noon today?
That could have been the trail of a Cheyenne war party. Or Comanches or Apaches. They all make rattles like that from the ends of buffalo toes.
But if they were Sioux, they couldn't be more than 30 miles to the north in the Deadlands. They're afraid of ambush, so they'd be camping away from timber and near water. 2 hours rest and we can be at the upper reaches of the river by dawn, sir, ahead of them.
Mr. Cohill, I have no orders to be anywhere by dawn or any other time. My orders are to find Mr. Gresham's patrol and, having found it, return to Fort Stark and report it. I think I've found him. I'll know as soon as the moon rises and I go over and take a look. Water the mounts in half an hour.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Cohill!
Sir?
Reading minds is an uncomfortable habit, but one I have never been able to lose.
Yes, sir.
Look at the other side of it. Suppose that war party was Cheyenne, which they might be, instead of Sioux. They wouldn't be in the Deadlands. Cheyennes would head for timber along the lower Mesa Roja. So would Arapahoes, Kiowas, or Comanches. They'd all bivouac in the open timber.
And, Mr. Cohill, they all make rattles out of buffalo toes.
Yes, sir.
Pass the word to Sergeant Utterback that dinner will be at 6:30, but the bugler will not sound calls.
Yes, sir.
And, Mr. Cohill.
Yes, sir.
There is no shortcut to the top of the glory heap. So we'll not run all over the West tonight looking for one.
But if death in battle is a soldier's path to glory, Mr. Gresham and his patrol had found a shortcut. Yet what we looked upon that night on yonder slope was not glorious.
Well, at least they respected them as fighting men.
How's that, Sergeant?
Every one of them skinned bald-headed so he can cross the shadow waters without trouble. And whoever did it don't want to fight him again.
Why?
Hands and feet cut off, that's why, sir. To cripple them in case they meet in the hereafter.
Sergeant?
Yes, sir?
Do you still think the Sioux did this?
No, sir. Not now, sir.
Why not?
Sir, I made the march from Bent's Fort to Santa Fe with Steve Carney, and I know an Apache arrow when I see one, sir. Even 1,000 miles from where they're made.
Yes, but that Sioux trail we crossed this morning, that war party could have brushed with an Apache war party and come by Apache arrows that way.
No, sir. No, sir, this job is 2 days old, sir. It wasn't that Sioux war party. This is Apache work.
How do you figure that?
Mostly because the captain knows it's Apache work, too, sir.
Lieutenant Cohill.
Sir?
Take the grave detail.
Yes, sir.
Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
We shall move the company out at 10 tonight.
Yes, sir.
We will return to Fort Stark to report this massacre as fast as we can.
Yes, sir.
So he's showing me. Makes his lieutenant first gravedigger and confides his plans to the sergeant in exchange for flattery. He's an old woman in blue fatigues. Can't hide his bad temper. And worse, he's a frightened old woman. Instead of striking when he has the advantage, he's going to cut and run. In a stiff action, I'd probably have to shoot him and take over the command. A grave doesn't take long to dig in the soft black earth of the plains. And the rocks were nearby to pile upon the still mounds against the hungry muzzles of wolves and coyotes. And after, the air was sweeter in the cold moonlight. And the job done in plenty of time for Captain Brittle's scheduled retreat.
The command is prepared to mount, sir.
Very good, Sergeant.
Captain Brittle.
Yes, Mr. Cohill.
Excuse me, sir, but can't we go after the Indians who did this? Can't we try to...
Mr. Cohill, the United States Cavalry is not out here to fight Indians. We're here to watch them and report on them for the Indian Bureau. We fight only if they attack us. I refer you to the standing orders of the Department of the Platte. They are most explicit on this point.
Yes, I know, sir, but Mr. Gresham was attacked.
How do you know that?
Well, I don't, for sure.
Of course you don't.
But he's dead, and his command, dead and mutilated, and we ought to...
Go to what? Avenge him? Disabuse yourself of classroom valor, Mr. Cohill. Out here, we obey orders. Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
Pass the word to mount.
Yes, sir. Uptight.
You.
Pass the word. Mount.
Pass the word. Mount.
Pass the word. Mount. Pass the word.
30 miles already that day, and who knows how many miles ahead of us tonight. The men are tired. The horses are tired. Cavalry is a delicate arm of the service, Captain Brittles. Hour after hour, as the moon threw our lengthening shadows ahead of us. Hour after hour. Walk 30 minutes, trot 5 minutes, dismount and lead 10 minutes, unbit and graze 15 minutes, every hour. Hour after hour.
Got a chaw of eating tobacco, Middendorf?
Ain't got much.
Well, give me a loan or something. You can get some more at the fort tomorrow.
Yeah. Why don't you ever have any of your own?
Don't approve of chawing tobacco. My ma don't, that is. Thanks.
God free and mighty. Mexico wasn't like this.
Do tell.
No, sir. When I was with Winfield Scott the time we took Chapultepec...
Hey, Middendorf. Chavez back in the Mexican campaign again.
Pity he didn't stay there.
Yeah. Just the same, the army was the army in them days. You slept in tents, and when you took a town, there was girls, senoritas, not squaws.
Well, if you like us so darn much, why don't you go back with those girls?
'Cause I was gold brick.
You was what?
Gold brick.
Oh.
I joined up again 'cause they said they'd be fighting out here. only fighting I seen west of the Missouris on Saturday nights in the Berry. Boy, it sure ain't like hell.
Sergeant Utterback.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
How did you know the captain thought there were Apaches that killed Mr. Gresham's detail?
Well, I've been his first sergeant for a long time, sir. You get to know.
I see. Do I get to know?
This is a different kind of service out here, sir. It ain't full-dress war, but it's the only kind the captain and I ever served in, sir. And you get to know it just like you get to know siege operations or saber charge by company front after you've had enough of it.
I see. Five hours on the way now. Less than 3 hours till dawn. And we're at the North Fork of the Platte, in a full 25 minutes for watering call. Some of the men lie sleeping where they've dismounted. Others huddle together in the moon shadow of the high bank, quietly talking.
She left me standing there like a bound boy at a husking.
What'd you do then?
Wasn't nothing to do, except join the army.
That little senorita in Mexico City. Time I was with Scott when we took Mexico. Well, she wasn't at all like that. Not a all.
Any of you boys ever ate a lobster?
Not me. I never even seen one.
I had a catfish once. Didn't like it.
I could sure put away a lobster right now. Fresh out of the lobster pot and into the cooking pot.
Alive?
Sure. That's the only way to cook a lobster. Sure wish I was back in Wiscasset.
Get you back in the state of Maine, you'll be pining away for buffalo meat.
Truer word was never spoken. Some people ain't never satisfied.
I ain't never satisfied for a fact. That's how you get someplace in this world. Never be satisfied.
Sure got you a long way, didn't it?
Looks like you can plan on getting even further, Saba. Captain's getting fidgety again.
Oh, yeah. Another day, another dollar.
All right, men. All right, fall in and be quiet. Prepare to mount. Pass the word.
Prepare to mount. Pass the word.
Prepare to mount. Pass it.
Mount.
Mount.
Route step. Forward.
Route step.
Forward.
Route step. Forward.
March.
Go.
Go.
He's heading north.
How's that, Sergeant?
North, sir. Captain's heading north.
You're right, Sergeant. Red Mesa should be to our left. Instead, it's dead ahead. Doesn't make any sense, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
My father would have done things differently. In the cold, dying moonlight, I could imagine him. Young Major Cohill riding out of St. Joe to convoy the wagon trains bound west on the Oregon Trail. What a figure he must have been out here in the old days when the Missouri River itself was the jumping-off place. Killer Cohill, as men had called him. But the wide-roaming Arapahoes had another name for him. Blue Devil with eyes in the back of his head. By this time, Father would have cut those Apaches into coyote meat as they lay sleeping around their smoldering campfire.
Mr. Cohill. Mr. Cohill, sir.
Yes, Sergeant?
Were you dozing, sir?
No, of course not. I was just thinking.
Captain Biddles wants you at the head of the column, sir.
Thank you, Sergeant. Sergeant Utterback said you wanted me, sir.
Yes, Mr. Cohill, I do. This is officer's call. Listen carefully. I have Sergeant Sutro ahead of me with the point. You will relieve him with 8 men and push forward fast.
Yes, sir.
Do you recall the ford across Red Mesa Wash?
Yes, sir. We crossed it yesterday.
Exactly. There is a knoll on the east side of the wash. A knoll that is crossed by the trail from the top of the mesa.
I remember, sir.
Be on that knoll before dawn. Build a bivouac fire as soon as you arrive.
Do what, sir?
Build a fire. I want to know when you get there.
But I can send a messenger back to tell you when I arrive.
I want everyone else for miles around to know it, too. Build a bivouac fire, a squad fire. No larger.
Yes, sir.
Should you happen to be attacked, you are to hold that knoll, fighting on foot. Remember, the dawn light can work for you, but it can also fool you in this country. So don't shoot until the last possible moment.
But I don't understand.
You don't have to. You have your orders.
Yes, sir.
Move out, Mr. Cohill. You're the bait on my hook. Wriggle.
It's new. It's free. Don't miss it. Don't miss this free offer by your Richfield gasoline dealer. It's the new Richfield baseball book. 32 pages jammed with fascinating facts about America's #1 sport. And it's yours for the asking at your Richfield gasoline dealer station. This new Richfield baseball book is the most interesting book of its kind ever published. Listen to this. The Richfield baseball book shows you seating diagrams of leading stadiums. It has a special baseball quiz you can try on your friends. It has a special page on which you can try your skill at picking pennant winners. It has a spring and summer calendar. That's right. The Richfield baseball book has all that, plus Major League schedules, many minor league schedules, and World Series box scores. So be sure to get your free copy tomorrow while the supply lasts. Drive in where you see the Richfield Eagle on the cream and blue pumps. Ask your Richfield dealer for your free copy of the new Richfield baseball book. And now we return you to Escape.
You knew Red Mesa was there only because the stars stopped where it stood. The moon was a honey ladle spilling blackness over the edge of the plains. Then the jagged teeth of the Rockies broke it into ragged potsherds. And it was gone. It was dark. Black dark. Cold dark. The squad fire sputtered and took and pushed the night back a little. This was different. This was command. This was the final moment of the soldier's heritage. To stand ready to fire and be fired upon. To kill and be killed. And it wasn't at all like you expected. It just plumb scared you. Don't stand still, Mittendorf. Keep moving a little all the time. And slap those mounts. Keep them moving, too.
Yes, sir. Lieutenant, sir? How come the captain sent us up here to sashay around on the top of this little old hill?
He said we're the bait of his hook.
Huh?
The decoy. If there's an Indian war party, we're to draw them out. Better put some bacon on to fry, Lust. Make it look natural.
Yes, sir. Meaning we uns may end up like Mr. Gresham in his patrol?
There's always that possibility.
Oh, it ain't a prospect that pleases, sir.
That's what a soldier lives for, Sarver. To die.
He does? Yes, sir.
It was a good performance. To any watching Sioux or Apache, here was a small white soldier war party like the two yesterday's party they'd left lying scalpless in the buffalo grass 30 miles down the valley. Fire lighted, bacon cooking. Horses unsaddled and warriors sleeping from a long night march. Soft for the kill. Only the warriors weren't sleeping. Beyond the yellow carpet of firelight, they lay fanned out behind their saddles waiting. Sorting the night sounds with straining ears, pushing at the soft wall of darkness with widened eyes.
Wish them dead, burned coyotes didn't sound so much like human beings.
Well, you can be sure of one thing. No Indian is running around in the middle of the night yelling like a coyote.
Yeah, but it sure makes me nervous. Sound like hooty owls back home in Maine.
What's that?
Behind you.
Don't get in a fret, boys. It's only me.
Oh, General Scott's chief of staff.
Oh, something. You're lucky I didn't put a bullet through you.
Nah, you wouldn't do that. Lieutenant said not to fire until commanded.
Any of you fellas ever had Injun pudding?
No.
I ate a sort of bean pudding when I was with old Rough and Ready Zach Taylor at the Battle of Buena Vista. But I didn't like it much.
Was you with Napoleon at Waterloo?
Nope, but I've been talking to the lieutenant.
Naturally. What's the word from headquarters?
It's made of cornmeal and molasses.
What?
Injun pudding.
Oh.
Seen any savages yet?
No, and don't expect to yet.
Why?
There ain't an Indian west of the Missouri who'll come out and fight at night if he can help it.
Yeah, that's right. They're afraid of taking a chance of being killed at night. They believe if a warrior's killed at night, he'll be blind when he gets to the happy hunting grounds.
Well, then what are we worrying about?
Who's worrying?
Not me.
Oh. And you can start worrying.
Huh?
Dawn's coming. To make out the mesa plainer.
Sure would like some Injun pudding for breakfast.
Slowly the light came. First, you could see the outline of the mesa. Then down below, the silver of the water in the wash. Then the shapes of the men. And out across the plain, the feathers of mist in the draws. If it was to come, it would come now. Hold your fire, men.
Arrows. They're shooting arrows.
Oh, what you expect? They're engines. What was that? Hit one of the horses.
Here they come.
Oh, my leg. Hold your fire.
Oh.
Hold it.
Fire! Cease firing!
They are Apaches.
I got one of the heathen.
I got two. Look at them lying yonder.
One of them's still wriggling.
I'll fix that.
Hold your fire!
But I was
They'll be back. That was only the beginning.
Yes, sir.
You all right, Coffin?
My legs, sir.
Bone shattered. Hurt much?
A little, sir. Those arrows are sure wicked. Go right through a man if they don't hit bone.
Do tell.
No action in the new army, huh, Sava?
Well, it ain't exactly like your pull pack.
Here they come again. Hold fire.
Light's better this time.
Makes no difference. Hold your fire.
They're the ones that did Mr. Gresham in. Look, that one's wearing a corporal's chevrons, and there's one with a U.S. cavalry saber.
Where's Captain Brittle? That's I want to know.
Most likely having breakfast at the fort. Decoy. We're just... Lord Almighty!
Well, they took care of almost half of them.
They'll be back.
No, they won't. It's Captain Brittle's now.
Attacking from the flank. Hey, Sava, Captain Brittle's got him on the run.
Hey, can you pull this tarnation arrow out of...
Down below the knoll, the remains of the Apaches were streaking for the open plains with Captain Brittle's men overtaking them, cutting them down with thirsty sabers and pistoling the ponies as they ran. And then it was quiet. And not an Indian or his pony was left alive. Coffin sat propped up against a saddle, lighting his pipe, his shattered legs stretched naked and useless before him. And Sarva lay where he'd fallen, eyes closed, face blue, his hands around the shaft sunk deep in his left side below the ribs, the feathered tip waving idly with each shallow breath.
Can't we do something for him, sir?
What? Look how deep that arrow is, right under the heart. Can't cut it out, can't pull it through.
Poor Sarva. He finally saw action.
Yeah. I can hear him now telling St. Peter about the time he beat the Apaches under Cohill.
That's not very funny.
No. Guess you're right, Coffin. How's your leg? Paining you much?
Can't feel anything. Lieutenant?
Yes, Coffin?
Do you think they'll send me back home to get this fixed? You think maybe I'll get to see the state of Maine right soon?
I hope so, Coffin.
Land of Goshen, no, you won't get further than the hospital at Council Bluffs. They'll wire you together, slap a plaster on you, and send you right back to fight Indians.
It was a strange feeling. A mixture of pride and guilt. Watching a man die whom I'd commanded into action. Looking at the shattered leg of another. And a feeling of helplessness, too. For the moment, we could only sit there and wait. Our horses were dead, or stampeded by the action. We were alone on our little hilltop in the hot red glare of the rising sun. And then the company rode back in triumph, and I was reporting to Captain Brittles. And it seemed like months instead of hours since I'd last looked at his tired gray face.
Mr. Cohill, you did that well. You may do in time.
Captain, you knew there were Apaches yesterday at sundown. And you knew they were camped on top of the mesa, didn't you, sir?
Mr. Cohill, accuracy and observation is a military virtue. Had you pushed forward to that slope yesterday afternoon, you would have found Mr. Gresham, not Sleeping Buffalo. Had your eyes been sharp, you would have found this between the slope and last night's bivouac.
An Apache headband.
That's right, and blood-stained. And had you been a plainsman and suspected Apaches, you would have looked at once for smoke at sundown from the highest ground, in this case, Red Mesa.
You had me fooled, sir. I even thought...
The facts for the record are these. My patrol, temporarily bivouacked at dawn today, came under a sudden enemy attack. Fortunately, it was able to hold until I arrived with the main body.
I understand perfectly, sir. I'm familiar with departmental orders which allow defensive actions only and expressly forbid attack.
And yet they are in direct violation of cavalry tactics. The cavalry is extremely weak on the defensive and can only defend well by attacking. I believe that is also taught at West Point.
And I thought you were avoiding an engagement. Captain, I'm terribly sorry.
Mr. Cohill, never apologize. It is a mark of weakness. There is a captain out here who tried it once to escape an inquiry board. He escaped it, but he will die a captain in spite of his apology. The officer who saw to that could have worked with him and made a soldier of him if his humanity had been large enough. Mr. Cohill, I'm going to make a soldier out of you. You may present my respects to General Cohill when next you write your father. Mr. Cohill, take morning stables.
If you drive a car, remember this strange-sounding word, xylene. Xylene is one of the highest octane gasoline components known to science. Today, all Richfield gasoline contains this powerful super-octane component, xylene. With a tank full of Richfield gasoline containing xylene, you've got dynamic power at the tip of your toe. Smooth, knockless power to put you out ahead in traffic. Every gallon of Richfield gasoline contains xylene. But that's not all. There is a Richfield gasoline especially refined to fit the power requirements of your particular car. By Richfield Ethyl. Ethyl at its best, for best results in highest compression motors. By Richfield High Octane at regular price for the average motor. Both of these famous Richfield gasolines contain xylene. Get the best out of your car. Get the most for your money. Get Richfield gasoline with xylene. Look for the Richfield Eagle on the cream and blue pumps. Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and tonight has presented Command by James Warnabella. Adapted for radio by Mr. Robeson. Featured in the cast were Harry Bartell as Lieutenant Cohill, John Hoyt as Captain Brittles, Wally Mayer as Sergeant Utterback, David Ellis as Updike, Paul Freese as Sarver, Walter Burke as Mittendorf, and Hugh Thomas as Coffin. Special music was arranged and played by Ivan Ditmars. Next week.
You're standing in the observation turret of a gigantic rocket ship about to be shot into space on man's first voyage to Mars. In the heavens above you lie the magnificence of the universe, and also terrible dangers from which there is no escape.
Next week at this time, the Richfield Oil Corporation of New York invites you to escape with one of the most unusual of all stories about man's attempt to conquer space, as Ray Bradbury tells it in his exciting tale, Mars is Heaven. Be listening. Goodbye, then, until the same time next week, when once again we offer you Escape. Tom Hanlon speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The American Broadcasting Company Radio Network presents Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol! In today's transcribed Space Patrol adventure, Buzz and Happy are exploring the ruins of a lost civilization. Suddenly aware that a man is following them, Buzz pulls Happy into a dark passage.
You can see us stepping in. You can't see us in this dark passage, but we'll be friendly in the open.
Ready?
The big stone at the entrance. It's moving. He knows it's in here. But no man in the universe could move that stone. Waste. Not from this universe. He sealed us in. We're trapped.
We'll be back in a moment with today's exciting Space Patrol story, The Crown of Dardeda. Korean children don't cry. It's a strange thing. Thousands upon thousands of them have been orphaned or cut completely adrift by the war. You see them in every large city. They sleep on sidewalks, in alleys, under bridges, or wandering aimlessly around the streets. Perhaps they're too hungry to cry, or too hopeless, with a terrible childish cynicism. The sight of their bewildered faces, their huddled, ragged figures like little old men and women, is something no one who has seen it can ever forget. There's a chance for you to restore a measure of faith to these forlorn children of Korea. A chance to restore their power to cry. A $10 care parcel will not only help feed one of these children for a month, it may also give him back his youth. Send your order now to CARE, 660 First Avenue, New York 16, or to your local CARE office. And now today's Space Patrol adventure, The Crown of Dardeda. The patient in room 399 of the Special Confinement Ward in the Terra Hospital is causing great concern to Commander Corey. Captured after a violent struggle at the Terra spaceport, he has failed to respond to expert treatment. Although conscious and able to talk, he has refused to reveal his identity or the reason for his attempt to steal a spaceship. Now, in his central office at headquarters, Buzz examines the medical report that Happy has just handed him.
Well, the blood sample doesn't fall into any known classification. We really have got a mystery here. Yes, it's a case where our crime lab may be able to help the doctors. I'll call the identification section and see if they've matched his photograph with fingerprints. We must have a record. If he wasn't trying to hide something, he'd have told us who he was. ID section? This is Commander Corey. You have reported the subject in Bulletin 413-H. I see. And you have no matching photograph in the file. Well, how about fingerprints? You must have. You're certain? All right. Hurry on. I can guess his fingerprints aren't in the file. Where's the map? Happy he has no fingerprints. Huh? Well, it's impossible. His prints are as smooth as metal. No loops, spirals, or scales. Patient might as well have been wearing plastic gloves. Dr. Rockets, the guy's a total mystery. We've got to give him a brainograph test right away and call the hospital. I don't quite get it, sir. What do you mean he's not as big a mystery? Hold it, Pat. Operator, this is Commander Corey at Space Patrol Headquarters. Put me through to Superintendent Mannheim. This is urgent. Pat. Yes, sir? Contact the security lab. Tell them to set up the brainograph. Dr. Mannheim? Commander Corey. I've got a theory about our patient in room 399. I think he's from another solar system. That would explain his behavior and also the trouble you've had in treating... Oh, all right, Doctor. Go ahead. What? When did this happen? Oh, how is Dr. Kentner? Well, keep the guard at 399. I'll be right over. Corey out. Happy the patient escaped. What? The nurse found Dr. Kentner lying dazed on the floor, covered with a sheet. The patient had taken the doctor's clothes. So how did he get past the guard? He didn't. The bars in the window were ripped out. Captain Rocket. I'll load it at the spaceport. Then we'll get over to the hospital.
Behind locked doors in a small apartment in another part of Terra, a man sits before a spacephone transmitter, beaming the signal toward a remote part of space.
Agent Orkan calling Shardu of Dardeda. Agent Orkan calling Shardu of Dardeda.
This is Shardu. Why are you late in reporting, Orkan?
I met with a slight accident, Shardu. I was captured and confined to a hospital. Fortunately, I was able to escape.
About the crown. Have you located it?
The jeweled crown of Dardeda is hidden on the third natural planet of this solar system, a planet called Earth.
My ancestors lost the rune of Dardeda 1,000 years ago when the crown was stolen. For 10 centuries we have been outcast, under the control of despots. The return of the crown will mean that I will become emperor of all Dardeda. So much at stake. I cannot risk failure.
I won't fail.
Very well, Orkan. Continue your search.
In the headquarters office several hours later, Commander Corey and Cadet Happy go over reports from Space Control on all ships leaving Terra.
Now, this one brings us up to date as it's 5 minutes ago, huh?
No one using Dr. Kentner's identification has boarded the spaceship since the patient escaped.
Sir, I just noticed this report on Dr. Kentner. Why a brainograph test on him?
He was so dazed and incoherent, I figured it would be the quickest way to get information.
How did you find out?
Dr. Kentner entered room 399 to examine the patient. As he leaned over the bed, the patient suddenly grabbed the doctor by the throat and held him with incredible strength.
Did he get a look at whoever was outside helping the patient escape?
There wasn't anyone outside.
But the bars. Somebody must have used special tools to tear out those bars in the window.
Dr. Kentner saw the patient do it with his bare hands.
That's impossible. Nobody in the entire solar system could bend those bars.
You're right, Hap. Nobody in this solar system. Remember the strange blood type. By cutting his fingertips.
Hey, that's right.
But still, this patient has unusual physical and mental powers. Plainly, he's from another solar system. There may be others like him living among us undetected.
Well, what do they want? What are they up to?
To find out, they have to catch her at night.
If he can bend thick metal bars, it's going to be hard to handle.
I'm not worried so much about his physical strength. It's his mental power. For instance, he seemed to have implanted in Dr. Kentner's mind the impression of Earth Spaceport number 7.
Number 7? Well, that's in the southwestern United States.
Yes, New Santa Fe.
Yeah, but what's Earthport 7 got to do with the man that escaped?
But it kept showing up in Dr. Kentner's brainograph test. And it has no significance to the doctor. I'll get it here. Commander Corey here. Yes, I did. What was that destination again? I see. That sounds like our man, all right. Thanks. Corey out. Half an hour ago, a passenger ship from Terra landed at Spaceport 7 on planet Earth. On board was a man who presented the credentials of a Dr. Mordana.
Oh?
Now, this Dr. Mordana made some inquiries about the Zermatt ruins, about 250 miles to the south of the fort.
The Zermatt ruins?
According to the medical association, there is no Dr. Mordana.
There's a missing patient.
You know, Hap, I think it's time we had a vacation.
A vacation? Now?
Yes. A quiet vacation on Earth, exploring the Zermatt ruins.
Back in the 20th century, jet planes roared over the sun-baked deserts of the American Southwest. But they left no mark on vast regions below. Now the spaceships of the 30th century split the skies with their thunder, but the desert remains unchanged. A surface car roars along the rough dirt road and stops before the only structure in miles. Two men with camera cases slung from their shoulders get out of the car.
We could still make the ruins by dark, man. There's only a few miles farther.
Well, we might be able to pick up some information from them. Besides, I'd like to establish ourselves as tourists. We can get an early start for the ruins in the morning.
Look at this. Hank's Hotel. Indian relics, curios, sandwiches, rooms. I wonder if Hank does much business.
I wouldn't think so.
Howdy, folks. Something I can do for you?
We were just passing by. We thought we'd stop in.
Well, I'm mighty glad to see you. Don't get many visitors this time of year.
Well, when is your busy season?
Well, I've been here for 10 years. I don't reckon I ever did have what you'd rightly call a busy season.
That's too bad.
Oh, no, it ain't. I like it that way. Gives a man time to think. Fact is, I'm tired. I get just enough trade here to take the curse out of it.
You're tired? From what? If you don't mind my asking.
Oh, a little everything. Ranching, prospecting, you name it. I managed to save up enough to get by on. Anything to take in here is pure velvet. Well, you get the life story of Hank Hodges.
You mentioned prospecting. You know I'm here?
Yep. And if that's what you fellas are here for, you're wasting your time.
I'm afraid we haven't the patience for that kind of work, Mr. Hodges. We thought we'd crawl around these old Indian ruins and snap a few pictures.
Oh, Zermatt ruins, huh? Well, I reckon every man's got his own idea of fun, but don't expect too much.
Why? Aren't they interesting?
All I know is the Indians left.
We'll take our chances. Judging by the lack of traffic on the road just now, we'll have the place for ourselves, I suppose.
Ruins, you mean? Well, as far as I know. You don't calculate going out there tonight, do you?
We hadn't quite made up our minds.
Well, you better wait till morning. The road gives up and quits a few miles from here, you get lost.
Well, then what are we going to do?
Well, you see the sign outside? But there's a hotel, too. Ain't as fancy as those places up at New Santa Fe, but you'd be comfortable.
Sounds like a good idea. We'll take you up on that offer, Mr. Hodges.
Now you're talking. And just call me.
We'll get our gear out of the car. Come on.
Yes, sir. I'll be out to help you in a jiffy. Just remembered I got some coffee cooking on the stove in the back room. All right, Mr. Hodges.
Agent Torzak calling Shardu of Dardeda. Agent Torzak, codename Hodges, calling Shardu.
This is Shardu. Proceed with your report, Goldbergs.
2 men are here, on the way to the Zanapi ruins. I'm sure they're space patrolmen after Agent Orkan.
You have your orders. Dispose of it.
It would be awkward here. They would be suspected.
Follow them to the ruins. Orkan must be protected from all interference in his search for the crown of Dardeda.
Rest assured, Shardu. The space patrolmen will never leave the ruins of Zanapi.
We'll return to Space Patrol in just a moment. The United States has seen many changes in the past dozen years, all pointing to a still better way of living. Millions more Americans are working, earning more, saving more. We're eating more and eating better. More young people are going to high school and college. More of us are getting paid vacations. More of us are enjoying the luxuries of life. Sports, radio, television, the theater, concerts. Church attendance and membership has climbed steadily upward. The better you know America, the better the future looks. Write for the free booklet, The Future of America. Box 1776, Grand Central Station, New York, 17. Now back to today's Space Patrol adventure, The Crown of Dardeda. Commander Corey and Cadet Happy are in the southwest desert region of America, searching for a patient who escaped from the special confinement ward of the Terra Hospital. The patient's unusual physical and mental powers lead Buzz to believe that the man is from another solar system. Buzz and Happy spent the night at a lonely roadside hotel in Curiochuck, operated by a genial gentleman who calls himself Hank Hodges. The space patrollers don't know it, but Hodges is also from another solar system. Now Buzz and Happy are in their circus car, ready to leave for the Zanapi ruins.
I remember now, follow the road that runs out, then keep going, you come to the Red Butte. Cut right and follow the dry voice. You'll end up at the ruins.
You'll find it, Hank.
See you later, Hank. Go on, fellas. And watch out for the rattlesnakes.
The surface car, designed for rough terrain, moves easily across the desert, through rocky arroyos and deep sand. Following Hank Hodges' directions, Buzz and Happy wind along the bank of a dry riverbed for several miles. Then Buzz suddenly plunges down the sloping side of a ravine and brings the car to a stop under overhanging brush.
We'll cover the rest of the way on foot, Hank. It's only a couple of miles to the ruins.
Yes, sir. On foot, we'll have a better chance of taking the fake Dr. Modano by surprise. Let's see. We'll need the cameras, canteens, and our guns.
And keep the guns concealed, Hank. And bring 2 Atomo lights to keep at the bottom of the ground.
Commander, this is a regular city.
According to Sterndorf, there are thousands of yards of hidden passages.
Sterndorf? Who's he?
An archaeologist who did some exploring here a few years ago. You tell him? Have get behind this pillar.
Is he? Better get out of sight. Almost cleaned up with a big stone.
Severe earthquake here at one time. Keep that stone also on top of the building. Nobody around. Must weigh a couple of tons. Where's the stone in the passage? Somebody's coming up.
See, it's stuck in here.
Can't see it since the passage.
Commander, the big stone at the entrance, it's moving.
He knows we're in here.
But no man in the universe could move that stone. It weighs tons.
He's not from this universe.
The seal is in. We're trapped.
Just one end is sealed. Maybe another. Switch on your Atomo light. Let's find out.
Yes, sir.
Okay, come on. Here's another time. Let's hope this time it pays off.
Oh, it's a dead end. Oh, my gosh.
Take it easy. It's just a step.
Oh, it scared the life out of me, sir. The Atomo light put it right square in the face.
It is startling. An ancient idol holding a sword and outstretched arm.
I guess we're really fixed this time. Big stone at one end of the passage and old Double Ugly at this one.
Expression and attitude in that statue.
It's like it was guarding something.
What is there to guard? It's just a blank wall.
It's not the Indians, but too intelligent to go to this much work without a reason. A reason might not make sense to ask it.
The idol is stone, but the sword is real. Hey, I wonder if I could work it loose in that stone fist and make a dandy souvenir. Yeah, souvenir. That's the last thing we need now.
Stop your eye move when you pull it that sword.
I guess those double uglies is falling apart for me. Smoking rockets, what's happening?
Part of the wall is swinging back. You found the way out of the passage.
Well, I figure that statue must have a purpose. There wouldn't be any sense of it just standing here.
Same goes for us. Come on, through that door. Stop. Turn on that light. This is it. I saw another man at the head. Very perfectly still. Someone else here.
All right, get your hands up. It's him, Commander. The escape potion.
Well, Commander Corey, I hardly expected to see you.
You wanted it to be a surprise.
I'm glad to see that you've recovered. Now, if you lead us out of here, we'll take you back to Terra.
And why to Terra?
For attempting to steal a spaceship, assaulting a guard, and Dr. Kepner, and for impersonating a physician.
And just how do you know I am not a physician?
I'd also like to go into the matter of why you're in this solar system in the first place.
You've figured that out, have you? I suppose my tearing out the bars of the hospital window gave you a clue.
Yeah, and rolling that big rock in front of the passage.
Rock? What rock?
Oh, well, maybe a butterfly landed on it and tipped it off balance.
Oh, the rock. And there is no use pretending anymore, I suppose. My name is Orkan. I am from the planet in the Antares system. Planet Dardeda.
I suppose there are others among us than Dardeda.
I am not at liberty to answer that.
The brainograph will tell us.
Gentlemen, you might as well put down those puny weapons.
Stay where you are, Orkan. One more step and you will be sound asleep from a charge of cosmic rays.
You will find that you are unable to pull the trigger for me.
All right.
It's just a trick of concentration, gentlemen. We of Dardeda have developed to control our minds. This self-mastery gives us power over less disciplined races such as yourself. We call it sight force.
Why didn't you use it on the guard at the spaceport?
It was taken by surprise. It takes a few seconds of relaxation and concentration to build it up. Fortunately, before the guard, I didn't even have time to build up my reserve of physical energy. I will never would have captured me.
But the strength of yours isn't natural.
It is an acquired skill. On Dardeda, we begin training as very small children. We have centuries of knowledge and technique behind us. Now, I want some information. I came here to find a jeweled crown. It was stolen from Dardeda centuries ago and hidden here in the Zinapi ruins. Where is it?
I've never heard of the jeweled crown. I know where it is.
Many relics have been removed from this chamber tonight. You are going to tell me who will have this information.
I don't know. I'm a space patroller, not an archaeologist.
What? It is in your mind, isn't it? The name of someone you might know about the crown of Dardeda. Who is this archaeologist?
I won't tell you. There's no telling what you'll do.
I would do anything to get that crown. Your foolish little laws against violence mean nothing to me tonight. Come on, tell me. His name, please.
I don't care. Sternberg. Howard Sternberg.
And where is he?
Venus.
Don't fight it, Commander. You are creating an inner mental struggle that can harm you. Where is Sternberg?
It can't.
Commander.
I warned you. He's blacked out, but he will be all right. Cadet, take him up. Carry him over your shoulder and follow me. Only dimly aware of what he is doing, Happy obeys Orkan's command, following the man from Dardeda through a corridor and out into the bright sunlight. Then he loses all sense of time. Finally, out of a blackness comes a vaguely familiar voice.
Son? Son, are you awake?
Happy opens his eyes and finds himself lying on a bed in a plainly furnished room. A familiar room. Lying beside him is Commander Corey. Again, the voice.
Son, I brought you and your buddy something that'll make you feel better.
Hey, how did you get back to the hotel?
Well, your friend brought both of you here in his surface car.
Friend?
Yes, Dr. Modana. He's outside now loading some supplies into the car. You fellows had a bad case of heat stroke. Lucky the doc came along.
Listen, I've got to tell you something. He isn't a doctor. He's a criminal. And what's more...
Sure. Now, you just relax, son. I'll leave these 2 glasses of water here. When your pal wakes up, see that he gets a drink, too.
You don't believe me. I never had a heat stroke. It's that fake doctor. He's from another solar...
Sure, son. You just take it easy.
Hey, look, I've got to get a message to some friends. Will you let me use your space phone?
Space phone? What in thunder would I need a space phone for? Well, the way I figure, if a man ain't worth talking to face-to-face, he ain't worth talking to at all. Space phones. Bunch of nonsense.
Okay, but listen, Hank, be careful of that stranger. Don't tell him I said anything about him. He's dangerous.
I'll be careful. Now, don't you worry about a thing. Everything's going to be all right.
Nice try, huh?
You okay?
I'm glad you didn't tell him we were space patrollers. He'd be convinced we were crazy.
We could only find some weapons. The trouble is, I can hardly move. I don't know what Orkan did to me, but... Hey, what happened? I'm all right.
So now, Orkan must have suddenly relaxed his sight to us. Let's take a look out the window to see what he's up to.
There he is. He's loading stuff into his car. And Hank's helping him.
Let him see us. Now, we get the weapons. Gotta make sure Hodges is on the way.
Hey, have you seen that? Yeah, but I don't believe it. Instead of driving the car around, he just lifts up the back end, swings it over like I'd move a small desk. What a little dried-up man like Hodges.
I have a feeling that if we examined those glasses of water he brought here, we wouldn't find things.
You mean Hodges is... that he's from Dardeda, too?
Yes. Now that it was Hodges who rolled that rock across the passage back at the rooms.
Oh, come to think of it, Orkan seemed surprised when we mentioned it.
I quickly took the blame so we wouldn't suspect Hodges. While we're busy outside, we'll look for weapons. Till we summon Hanks back in the car. Hurry, Happy, before Hodges comes back.
Yes, sir. Smoking rock, it's a spacer phone. And he said he didn't have one.
Clinches it. Happy, look around for weapons. I'll contact Terra headquarters and have them warn Sterndorf at Venus City University.
I hear someone coming.
Quickly, behind us.
This is where Hodges keeps his groceries. Happy isn't hungry right now.
Somewhere on Venus. Orkan was left in his spaceship. I will obtain more exact information from the space patrol. Relay it to Orkan. Soon, Shardu, you will be wearing the crown as Emperor of Dardeda.
Excellent. Keep me informed of all developments.
Yes, Shardu.
I'll get him, Hap. Nice work, Commander.
On your feet. You ought to be ashamed hitting an old man.
An old man who can roll a 2-ton rock and lift a surface car. Not as old as you can tell.
We better tie him up, Commander. What'll hold him?
Bring him a glass of water, huh? One of the glasses he wanted us to drink.
Now, fellas, you got me all wrong.
Oh, you can stop acting now, Hodges. The curtain's gone down on your little scene.
And we're sure you're under control. We're going after your pal, Orkan.
What about Shardu's crown? It's rightfully his as Emperor.
He's not our Emperor. And if he doesn't respect our laws, well, he's just going to have to rule bareheaded. And I hope he catches cold.
We'll have a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure in just a moment. Young men, today's Army can prepare you for success. It can help you to a better future with valuable job training, opportunities for travel, and a chance to show your ability as a leader. The Army now offers training in over 30 career fields, in everything from auto mechanics to guided missiles and electronics. Here you can learn a trade which will pay you well for the rest of your life. And of course, you'll be paid while you learn. And you'll get a 30-day leave with pay every year. So serve your country and yourself in the new United States Army. See your local Army recruiter today. He's listed in a phone book. Now a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. Buzz and Happy are aboard the Telephone, approaching the planet Venus.
We're on vector for Venus City atmosphere shell, sir. Fine, Hap. Cut our velocity. Yes, sir. Let us say. Controls will respond. There's a warning from Space Control. Decelerate quick. I can't, sir. Nothing happened by changing vector. The controls are frozen. Someone sabotaged the ship. More come. Oh, but if we don't do something quick, the ship will crash right into the heart of Venus City.
Be with us next week for the thrilling Space Patrol story, The Shadow of Chardu. Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Helen Moser. Other players were Tom McKee, Norm Jolly, and Ken Mayer. Lee Zimmer speaking. This program is broadcast to our armed forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.